So, good morning from USA and good evening from India. So, welcome for the second day of boot camp session today. Let me share my screen. So I'm repeating the agenda once again. So we see there are so many new people and from yesterday to today. So the plan is for 10 sessions in this October month. All are like boot camp free sessions, mostly on AI agents and agentic framework. So we have LangChain, LangGraph, CrewAI, AutoGen, and MCP's explanation, and we have no code tools, and we will explain model training and deployment in cloud. So those are the main very high level concepts. So by looking at, if you can see, right, so 10 sessions, so we have totally 20 hours we will be teaching completely on AI agents with theoretical and practical. So the session one is done yesterday. If somebody is really missing, so please let us know. We will be sharing the recorded session, so you can re-listen and come back for the next week. So next week we have two project explanation. One is on LangGraph with one project, and another one another Sunday again on LangGraph with second project. So both are different concept with different flows. Okay. So you see that there is in October 4 and yesterday's session complete on AI agents, and one project has been explained. So please refer and see if you don't understand. And today's session will be LangChain with the complete theoretical and practical explanation. So yeah, so today session 2 will be LangChain, session 3 will be LangGraph next week with one project. We can see the topics and all. We'll be sharing this PPT. And the third week, October 18th and 19th, we have no code tools explanation with one project and one complete theoretical explanation end-to-end flow with CrewAI, and one project management explanation using N8N tool. So this will be explained by one of the architect. And the upcoming following week, we have two project will be explained. One is on MCP project with one flow, and another one is second day, Sunday, again 2 hours class on MCP, second project. And apart from that, we also one weekend we are going to explain about blogs and websites and different no code tools where we can develop apps development and deploying in cloud. So using base 44 and bold.new and lovable. There are multiple tools. Manvendra and Apurup, they're going to explain in detail for 4 hour session. And we also explain agent and agentic system build without code using Google Vertex AI Cloud platform. So you'll be seeing this end-to-end bot creation with code and without code. So one project we will explain using Google Vertex AI, another one we will explain using Amazon Bedrock. So this is the complete agenda for the people who joined today newly. So we'll be sharing this PPT for high level, and we also try to share the agenda Excel sheet to everyone. Okay. So with that, I'm going to hand over to my architect Venkatesh Dande. He will be explaining one project today on LangChain. Venkatesh, please take over. Thank you. Let me see if he's unable to. Sir, are you able to unmute now? Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, good morning and good evening, everyone. So, as we are today's day two of the boot camp, we are going to discuss like the hands-on project, so we are going to see the real-time projects how we will be going to implement in terms of the business perspective. So what are the key components we required, and how will we utilizing the GenAI technology with the uh, cloud concepts like in Azure OpenAI services and Amazon Tesseract services. So I'm going to show you two projects today with the different the industry concepts. One is from the banking industry, and another is from the healthcare industry. So these are the projects which I worked in the recently. So which it will be these are the real time projects which we can see going to see in this boot camp. Okay, so let me share my screen. Yeah, I hope everyone can see my screen. Okay, so starting of the session, just before we starting quickly, I just wanted to start with the general the LangChain component, because today the implementation we are going to work on the LangChain based framework with the RAG based model. So one is the purely RAG based model, and the other the project will be the inconsistent in context learning. So in context learning, in the sense where we are not utilizing the vector database, so we are directly utilizing the LLM service, and we are going to get the relevant fields from the LLMs. So now, in terms of if I talk about the LangChain, so everyone heard about the LangChain, LangGraph, CrewAI, and AutoGen. So there are various frameworks. If we go back to the traditional approaches, for implementing the machine learning models or the deep learning models, where will we rely on the scikit-learn package, and in terms of deep learning, where we are utilizing the TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras, and Theano. So these are the frameworks which will be utilized for the developing the ML and deep learning models. Now, in terms of GenAI, so in order to implement any applications, or in terms of to develop any GenAI based applications, as we see the chat gpt, or creating a smart voice assistant system where it can where it can convert the translations with the llms, where it can do the real time the monitoring information with the visually, or with the NLP based. So in order to implement in various kind of approaches with the GenAI based technology, so we are going to utilize a LangChain framework. So the LangChain, it's basically designed for to develop the in order it basically developed for to utilize the LLM models. Okay, through the AWS based, or through the Azure based, the cloud, or it is in a Microsoft based, or it's in a GCP based. So what this LangChain, the frameworks will do. So it is so without this framework, where you need to write the n number of lines of code, where you have to make the connection with the if you are the service you are using by the bedrock services from the Amazon web service, where you have to use the boto 3, and where you have to make the connection, then from there you have to point to the specific region, then you start utilizing those services. With this LangChain, by just two steps of code, where you can, without adding of any information, just by passing the API keys, as we see in the day one exercise. So with a simpler way, where we can able to call the LLM models, where we can utilize those LLM services from the cloud without writing on the much lines of the code. Okay, so that's where the LangChain, the framework, will be utilized for implementing the LLM models across the various cloud sources. So, in terms of if I talk in the concepts of the production development, where you wanted to develop some software product. So, in terms of when we are talking about the software product, where I wanted to build the question and QA chatbot system, or where I wanted to build some coding based platform, or where I wanted to build to identify the similar context of the information when I passing some entity. So I wanted to understand whether this particular entity will be which of the closest entity which is mapping in my database. And like when where you want to have a set of documents where you have to extract some certain fields, like in we call as the entity information. When you wanted to implement like in a kind of these type of applications, so where we go with the RAG based approach. As everyone knows, the RAG stands for retriever augmented generation generator. So the R is nothing but the retriever, where you will be having the knowledge base. Consider it's our brain. Okay, whenever we request something, the similar the brain, how it will process the request and it will provide the results to us, what to take the decision. Similarly, the retriever also will work to get the multiple ideas together for the one approach. Then the generator you can consider like in a where you are going to combine the context of the information, that is the results from the retriever and the user query, and it will generate the final response, that is the final answer, where the similarly like it is a combination of the retriever and generator, where you will retrieve the information from the some from the knowledge source, and then you are going to combine the knowledge source, and then you are going to take the final response with the help of generative, where generative will be implemented with the help of large language models, which is trained by the billions of data. So where you are going to see the concept to implementing the RAG approach, where first initially as you need to create the retriever. So retriever will create only when you have a knowledge base. So initially we need to create the knowledge base. So for that you have to collect the some set of the documents. So consider in an organization you wanted to develop a some custom chatbot system which will help us to the internal employees. So what it do, so in order to develop this bot system, so where the team of the developers will collect the all the necessary documents related to the organization. These documents will be combination of the PDF documents or Word documents or SharePoints or like in conference pages or PPTs. It might be any document. Okay, so once they collect all the documents, where they will process the document with the various packages like any PyPDF, markup language packages, or general NLP packages and the pandas packages, then regular expressions, where they combine all the packages, where they combine all the steps, then they'll extract the information, and it will be and it will be stored into the database. Like in the general, if we talk about the ML or deep learning, where we use the traditional databases like SQL or MySQL or Oracle. But in terms of when we are talking about the RAG approach, where we have to utilize the vector databases. So the concept of the databases is the same, but only the unique thing is in the vector database where we will store the unstructured data, because in the unstructured data, in the sense where we are not directly not storing the PDF or like in Word document or any document here, where we are converting these particular document into the numerical vectors in the form of high level high dimensional spaces, like in a that's dimensions we call as a vector. In terms of if you go back like in a the matrix concept, like 8 by 8, 3 by 3, so each embedding model will have the own vector size or vector shape, like in a if in terms of if we consider like in a text embedding ADA 002, which is belongs to the Azure cloud services, like which will have the capacity to create the vector shape in the form of 1536 of matrices, like 1536 into 1536. And if we talk about text embedding 3 smaller as well, it is a similar. And text embedding large, which will have the capacity of vector shape will be the 3000 3096. So now you can imagine. So the higher the shape, the higher the number, the higher the shape, so the more memory will be captures here. So we always have to remember, so when we are capturing the when we are going for the higher vector dimension shape, so it means where you are trying to store more memory as well. Okay, so that's the concept of embedded. Now in terms of the split component, if we see here, the split is nothing but, so consider in the input document where you have a thousands of pages. So 1000 page we cannot store into the one single row or one single document, right? It's a very difficult. There are two use cases, like in a why we are splitting the documents. One use case is like where we wanted to retrieve the results in a faster way, because if I'm searching like in a generally what we do, if you wanted to find some word in the in a corpus where you are going to use the control F and you are going to search for the particular word. Imagine if the document is the bigger the size, then the searching time will be searching time will be, it will take the more time. So that's why, to reduce the time complexity of the search appearance, so what we do, we will divide the larger document into the smaller documents, that is we call as a chunking. So we will store each chunk as a one document, then we'll store into the embedded. And another the use case is to for splitting the document. When we are using the as Azure or Amazon OpenSearch as a vector databases, for each chunk we will have a limitation. So what was the limit? So each chunk will be having the only 8,000 tokens, so it can store only 8,000 tokens. If you try to store the vector database in a more than 8,000 tokens, so it won't store. Now again, here, what is tokens? Token is nothing but the words we call. So words either might be two to three characters. Three characters we consider as a one token in terms of GenAI. So each token will be having a different cost here actually. So as you see, if I combine the four components in order to build a retriever, initially the retriever in the sense like in where you have the set of input document, which are PPT, JSON, URLs, and HTML files, and the SharePoints, and all together. Then each document will be processed to the smaller documents with the help of the chunking technology using the recursive character splitter, or like in a with the other component of JSON splitter. And you will be having a multiple chunking splitters which will available in the LangChain. So majorly we go with the recursive character splitter. So then follow with that, where we are going to use the embedding model. So either if your organization is completely focusing on Amazon Web Services, where you can go with the Amazon Titan embeddings, where you have the model in the Bedrock services, and you can use the Amazon Titan embedding model, and you can convert this chunk to the numerical vector. So then once you convert to the numerical vector, then you are going to store into the vector database in the form of the numerical value. So each and every word will be having a semantic meaning of each and every word will capture. That is the beauty of this vector databases. It's not like traditional database where it won't capture the meaning, the meaning of the particular word. But when you are storing into this vector database, where it will try to capture the semantic meaning of the words, that's where it will design these numerical values. If I go back to the other, the slide in detail about the each component, where you can see the multiple format types, as I mentioned, like in a PDF, text, CSV, HTML, and other formats. And you can see the common loader types: PDF loader if it is a PDF document, and web-based loaders, Wikipedia, text file loaders. And if I go with the splitters, where you can see the recursive character text splitter, recursive JSON splitter, and HTML text splitter. So mostly we use in the recursive character text splitter, which is which is highly utilized for most of the processing systems, because the splitting of the characters which will captures the each and every word of that. So next, if I going back to the embedding models, as I mentioned here, text embedding ADA 002, but even we will be having the open source like in Hugging Face, Volama models, and along with like in if the paid models like in Amazon Titan embedding is a paid model, Coera embeddings, and these are all the various the embedding models which can be utilized as well. In terms of vector databases as well, where we will be having a Chroma vector database, Firesys vector database, and Pinecone, and the Azure and Amazon vector database. There are multiple vector databases available. So only Chroma and Firesys are the open source vector database. The rest all databases are the paid version database. So every industry will spend based on the utilization of their the service. So based on that, they are going to choose those the vector database. Some company they go with the Pinecone, some company they go with the Azure, some company go with the Amazon. So it's all about the business business requirement, and the MOUs between the cloud services to the companies and everything all together. So the basically this vector stores in terms of, if I talk about that vector stores, how these vector stores will help you, where it will help you to store the embeddings. Along with that, it will help you to query the vector in a more faster way instead of traditional the searching approach. And it will try to find out the more similar type of chunks as well, so where you can get the relevant chunk instead of doing the traditional searches like in a fuzzy wuzzy match, or like in a word mover distance, or like in a semantic similarity. Or so instead of doing the like in a cosine similarity or some traditional based approach, where you can do with the semantic similarity based instead of doing with that. So that's where you can, if you'll able to get the relevant results as well. Okay, so let's jump into the actual coding, so that we'll understand more about that. Let me share my screen. Okay. Yeah, I hope everyone can see my screen, the notebook. So the today's the one of the project which we are going to do is like in a, we are trying to identify the supplier entity matching with the most nearest, like in who will be the ideal supplier. Like in a, so consider you are in an organization. So in terms of like in every organization they have their own partners, right? So if you consider like in a yes, Pranachi. Yes, this is a Visual Studio Editor. But in terms of based on your requirement, you can go with the Jupyter Notebook or Spider or like in a PyCharm. So it's all about developer to developer. So you can use any editor. It just help us to write the code to us. Okay. So going back to the business use case, so here what we are trying to do here, we are trying to identify so who are the partners to the particular company, and the similar the partners who are supplying to the other companies. So if I clear about this business use case, consider you are working for some Johnson and Johnson company. So for a Johnson and Johnson company, where they'll develop the drugs as well, or like in a going with a Merck, or like in a Pfizer. So they, where they develop the vaccination, they will develop some drugs, right? The medicine. So in order to develop the medicine, so they might require some partners, these partners who will supply the materials to the particular the Pfizer or like Johnson and Johnson company. So they will be having a multiple partners across the global. So where will be supply their composition materials. Okay. So now, so this is the kind of one scenario. Now the same similar customer who they supply for the other companies, or who they do directly marketing for the B2C customer, B2C. In terms of B2C, if I talk about, by changing of the slighter their company name as well. So now here, whenever they are doing a MOU with the company to company as a B2B, where they have some strict regularization as a policies, where they want it to be sale their composition for our company only. So there are some kind of the policies which they will be come up here. Now as a company team, as a the risk analysis team, where they have to identify the particular vendors who are tied up with the current company, and is there similarly they are doing the marketing for the other companies as well. So in terms of, if I talk about, so these are the master supplier informations which you can see across the geographical location, their company name and their company located in the country, and along with their the supplier with the city, and following with their complete organization details as well. As you can see, total, consider you have a 3,000 companies you have as a partners. Now in terms of, you need to identify that. Okay. So this particular data which I wanted to tell, this particular the master data which is provided by the smart risk analysis system. So where the risk analysis people, where they will identify and they will keep on monitor on their partners, so who are like in a, who are working for us only, or who are like in a, because they might be the sale the price for some price for us, and they sell the price for directly with the client to the another price. So they wanted to identify it. Along with that, they wanted to track the behavior of their partners as well. if there is any impact of their partners. So if they are those partners, if they tied up with our company as well, then it will be the key challenge for the company stability as well. So that's why they wanted to identify the risky customers along with that, and they wanted to take the necessary actions for them. Okay, they wanted to take the as for the policies, they wanted to realign, or they wanted to come up with the other approaches. They wanted to identify the risky customers as a risky suppliers in terms of, if I wanted to talk. So as I mentioned you, the suppliers will be across the global as well here. So you can see total, these are the companies where you can see. So from the across the global, Australia, Algeria, Argentina, and Israel, Italy. Okay, this is the complete the the information which is you won't get from the any the Kaggle or something. This is the pure industry based data. That's where we wanted to introduce in the bootcamp, where you people can see the real time experiences, how the data will looks and how we will be proceed in terms of the implementation approach as well. So now if I show you the input, so now as you see in the master data, these are the master data. So in terms of input data, which you can say, these are the input supplier names. Okay, where team of risk, the team of risk analysis team, who they have done the web scraping or something, they have used the tools where they have collected the list of supplier names, where you can see the same company, Lux Global Label Company, which is located into the United States, but multiple cities as well, as you see here. So like an Lux Global Label. So sometimes if you see here, so the same company, they have they slightly they have did their entity name with the Puerto Rico, and it is located in the same city. If you see that, this is where they want it to be identified. So they might be registered with the current company with the Lux Global Label, but again they have another entity name, the similar entity name, with the different entity name, and they're selling their products into the other clients as well. So this is what the risk team wanted to identify, and they wanted to take the necessary step against, what could be the ideal steps which we can perform and everything. So where you can see, it is not only for one company, there will be the multiple companies as well, as you can see here. 3M purifications and 3M purification inc, but it is located in the different geographical locations in the France and United States as well. So this is where we wanted to identify this analysis. Now going back to the code, let me share my, yeah. So here is the code where we are trying to identify the semantic similarity, means we are trying to identify the similar supplier names with the help of the LLM models. Okay. Yeah. So let me go through here. So here you can see we are reducing the duplication onboarding and improving the compliance and risk scoring. Let's, if I go back to the step by step, first we have to import the packages, for implementing the packages here. Yeah. So first package is where you have to import the LangChain as a vector store, because here we are going to install the Chroma as a vector database, as in terms of, as I told you. First, what we are going to do, we are going to we are going to develop with the RAG based system. In the RAG, what we do here, as part of the knowledge base, this is the master supplier. Master supplier will be the knowledge base for us here. Okay, so where we are going to store, so because as I mentioned, the document will be the PDF or Word or Excel or CSV, TSP or JSON. It might be any file, but in terms of our use case, the knowledge base which will present in the Excel file. Okay, so first we are going to create the knowledge base. So in order to utilize the knowledge base, first we have to install the Chroma vector database. So to install Chroma, where we are going to use pip space install Chroma. So the package is already installed, but just I'm showing you. So along with that, where you are going to use the package is already installed. So and along with that, you are going to use the Azure OpenAI embeddings, and along with the Azure Chart OpenAI as well. So Imran, can we not store knowledge base in SQL database instead of ChromaDB? No, Imran, we cannot use the vector database in terms of the uh, traditional databases like SQL or MySQL or MongoDBs, because see, these database will help us to which will help us to retrieve the results in the semantic similarity. Suppose I have some information like in where I wanted to find out the some similar kind of words, like in where it will help us what could be the ideal information to be like in a good and better. So good and better in traditional database, where we'll be having a two different words, but in vector database these particular vectors will be stored in a single number which will with a different semantic similarity. So even this vector like in the numerical values will be the like in a the it's in a kind of the spaces, but instead of the database PG vector database, where you can use for the both general tables and along with the vector database as well, you can use. Why can't use instead of UV instead of pip? Yeah, we can use, but generally to install the pip package, see, when you are trying to use UV, where you have to make some certain setup and everything. But when we wanted to install the straightforward the packages, where ideally to showcase the pip space install will be the best approach. Okay, these are the packages which we have imported here, like in document, which I told you, like in a in order to load the documents, like in a where will be utilize this package, and the load.env and everything which can be stored for the if you have some the API keys and API models and everything, where you can store into the .env file as mentioned here, and from there you can directly load instead of like in showing all information into the same notebook. Okay, it's always better to store into the .env file, and from there you can load the values. Okay, so let's so I've just imported the packages here, and now I need to call the embedding. So in order to call the embedder, okay, this is the Azure OpenAI embeddings. As I mentioned, we require the embedding models, right? So for the part of this experiment, for this part of this project implementation, where I'm using the Azure Cloud Services, like where in Azure Cloud Services, where we have the embedding models of like in a text embedding 3 small, text embedding 002, text embedding 3 large as well. But for our exercise, we are using the small as an embedding model. So we have three different models in the Azure OpenAI. So in order to utilize this Azure OpenAI embeddings, so where you just have to import LangChain plus LangChain from the Azure OpenAI embeddings, and from the package where you can directly pass your API key and API version and model and the deployment name. So this will directly connect it to the Azure Cloud Services. So you don't need to make some separate connection, and you need to connect to the Azure services directly. You can connect it. That is the beauty of the LangChain framework. So just see have connected to the specific Azure models, which you can see here. Okay, so once it is connected, so you can see the connection type information here. Now, as a part of this project, let's implement the Azure Chart OpenAI as well. This is where the LLMs, which we are implementing now. So the generator, which I talk about the generator, right? Generator is nothing but the the large language models. The large language models where it is stored from the billions of data across the various sources like in a Wikipedia and through the Google search engine, Bingy, and YouTube. It's a kind of collecting all together information with the billions of data where it is trained these models and which we are utilizing. So as part of this model where we are using the Azure GPT-4, yeah, GPT-4 model where we are using. Okay, so if you wanted to test like whether your LLM model is working or not, what you can do, you can simply, once you initialize the LLM, you can call the command called invoke, and there you can just pass the test or like in a hi or something. Okay, if the connection is established where you can, if the connection is the successful, then you can see the response where clearly as hello, how can I assist you today. Okay, so it will give you the response like that. Okay, so even you can ask any information. Invoke is nothing but where you're sending the request to the LLM models. This is completely in the API based approaches where it will connected in the backend with this API key, and it will process those LLM models and it will get the response based on the user requested questions. Okay, so like in just it's not like the think of like in the traditional approaches where we will develop, where we'll train the model and where we'll test and we will see the performance. Then we will save those model into the particular weights in the pickle job label like in a parakeet files or a JSON file. So it's not like that. The already the models which is already trained and which is stored into the cloud platforms. So we are just calling those LLM models with the help of LangChain framework by passing the simple API keys and endpoint details. So these are the four details which is mandatory in order to make the connection with the Azure or like in a Amazon Bedrock services as well. It is everything which is simple. So the connection is also successful here. So we can see, let's go back to the implementation process. So as a first process, what we do, we have to read the input file. So for to reading the input file, what we do, so first let's call the input file here. First we have to import the packages like in pandas and the CSV loaders packages. So here you can see these are the two packages which is required us to utilize. And going back, then we wanted to read the input files as well, like in here we have defined the input latest file as you see in the Excel file just now, and the master the smart risk file as well, which you can see here. And after processing, where we wanted to store the entire information into the output file, that is a master CSV where you can see this. Okay, so we have successfully uh, we have successfully assigned the variables. Inside the variable we have given the input file name and the output file names. Okay, now I wanted to load the data. So here you can see this is how we will be load the data. So just I'm loading the data here. Okay, so I'll explain you the code what is happening. So in terms of if you have designed the if you have defined the path of the particular path location where it will go, and it will try to search for the file path and it will read the information. Okay, so even if it is not required, the simply you can what you do, you can call here, because file is already loaded just with the pandas. Okay, you can just read with the pandas like the extension here we are using the Excel file. So that's why where we are using the read underscore Excel and we are passing the input Excel, where which you can see total 48 records which we have. So if you wanted to see the data of the input data in terms of the code, where you can pass the head and you can see the information. So these are the input supplier names which is provided by the analysis team, where this we need to identify these new companies with our existing master data. So is there any these companies are matching with our existing data or not? It's not only with the supplier name, we have to match with the supplier city as well, and we have to see with the country name as well. So city and the country names are which is the metadata which will help us to go to the deeper inside that whether this company belongs to the some specific city or not. Okay, because the same company which might be registered into the different geographical location or different states as well. So but the city will be the different, right? So that's why we wanted to go with the city and address level as well. But as of for this analysis, I just have taken only three fields: city and country and supplier name. But in the real in the real Excel field, where you will be having the postal address along with the complete address of the information, and all the information will be available. Where do we initialize PD? So like if you see the code here, where in this particular cell which you've seen, import pandas as a PD. So this is a package where I have initialized here. So instead of writing every time pandas as a 6 character, just I'm calling as a nickname as a PD. Even you can call as per the the requirement, but PD will be the ideal name. So instead of calling with the bigger name, just I'm making as a shorter name as PD. So because pandas is a kind of data munching tool where it will help us to read the multiple the different file. So with a single line of the code with the pandas, whether you can read the Excel file, if you want, you can read the CSV file by changing read underscore CSV. And if you want to read the text file, where you can go with the table file. And if you want to read the JSON files, you can go with the read.json. So it's like all files it will support with the pandas. That is the beauty of the pandas. If you go back to the 1980s or 1990s, where you have to read the each and every file with a different package, like, and if it is JSON, you need to go with the JSON. If it is an Excel, you have to go with the open Excel or open py Excel. So you have to go with the different packages for each and every file format. But this pandas is completely changed, and it is a very very important for the persons who wanted to become a developer or data scientist. This pandas package is highly required for them to understand, because with this package, where you can able to perform all the data pre-processing operations with this library, one library. So next, this is the approach where you can read your input package, input file, like a thing, and you can see the if you use the id as a keyword, where you can see the top five of the thing. If you want, you can see the last five document. You can use the tail, where you can see the last five document as well. If you wanted to experiment with the some the statistical analysis, what you can do, you can just pass here. If you wanted to see list of unique countries, so you can take the particular column, and you can see the value dot as a counts. You can see. So if you see the input, the supplier names, majority of the data which is belongs to the United States, as we see the 35 of the supplier company names which are belongs to the United States. And the rest the data will be the Belgium is the four companies, where we see Ireland, France, and Germany, follow with the Japan, which is having a single supplier name. Okay, we have taken some sample, the few records which I wanted to show for this exercise. But in real time, where we have a thousands of the supplier names across the global, where we'll have some companies which is belongs to the India as well. Because these companies, where they're trying to see for their the suppliers, it is a global level company. So that's why you see they have their global suppliers across the industries of their the components. So this is how you can do some kind of analysis. Even if you want, you can see the missing values. If you have like isna dot sum, where you can see there is no missing values in your data clearly. So let's go back to the other step, where we have to read the master data now. Okay, so this is how you are going to read the master data. Again, it is an Excel file. So now you can explore this master data by seeing the head. So you can see that the first five records of the master data. So this master data which is prepared by the risk team, okay, because this data which is fetched from the existing the supplier list. Okay, so this is the actual supplier list whenever they registered with that company. So they have collected all their the supplier names, and with their address, and with the following country details and everything. That's where you see the master data. So now in terms of in some of the master data, where you can see here the source country is United States, but when we're seeing the input information, the input suppliers which is given for the input supply name, instead of United States, where we see the United States of America. Okay, so the name is different. So if we try to find out the similar name with the country like in United States, what you do, it will be partially matched. So due to that, it will decreases the confidence score as well. So in order to overcome that, we are trying to do the some pre-processing wherever we see the United States in the master data, where we are going to replace with the United States of America. So this is the line which we are using. So you can see here, now we have replaced with the States of America. Let's see the data. Now you can see that. So as soon as we see the data where we have the United States, then we have understood that this is the United States of America. The abbreviation of the United States is actually United States of America. It's not only for that. There will be the multiple the countries also which is having like an uh, uh, like in UK, United Kingdom will be there. So sometimes where they will be written as in UK itself, like where we have to replace wherever the UK, it should be replaced with the United Kingdom as well. So like that, we will identify for our approach where we have taken for very few sample records. That's where we say the only United States of America here. Okay, we have done, we have rated the data, and even we can see the number of records in our data as well, where you can see total 2817 the existing supplier list which is provided by the risk assessment team. Okay, so with the three names itself, with the three features like a supplier name, country, and supplier address as well. Supplier address is nothing but the city only you can consider, where you can split it and you can see as well. If you want, we can see one of the record as well. As of now, we are just reading of the input files and everything, just like in another 4 to 5 steps, like where I'm going to show you actually how we are going to convert to the knowledge base and storing into the vector database as well. See, which you can see here with the address and completely, the city and the united country which you have, you can pre-process and you can do it actually. We can split it and we can get the city of the supplier as well. Okay, now we are going to find out. So we are going to use the CSV loader here. If you wanted to do with the LangChain based, where you can go with the CSV loader as well as a LangChain document. So which is a completely the LangChain document information, where you cannot see this information, which you need to load the information in order to see the data. So this is also another approach where you can see your data. So yeah, you can see. So before you are going to store to the vector database, where you have to convert the entire data into the LangChain document. This is the actual data type which will expect to which will expect that to store into the vector database. So where you can see the metadata as a source and the row number, that is 0, and you can see the page content, that is where the actual values which comes supplier name and follow with the supplier country and supplier address, city, and all together details which you can see. Okay, so once we converted to here, then where we have to store, where we have to create the vector database as well. So in order to create the vector database, as we have created the package, right, from langchain dot the chroma where we have imported. So here you can see I'll just import the vector database for you again. Yeah, so here you can see vector database. Okay, this is how we are going to import the vector database from LangChain.vector stores as a chroma. Okay, chroma from document. So we are going to use the document here, the one which you have used here, and the embedder is in the beginning where we have imported the embedder, right? Like in a text embedding 3 small, which you see here. Okay, where it will help us to convert to the numerical values, the information which you are reading, that the tabular data which you are going to convert to the numerical values, and which will be stored into the chroma vector database. So just I'm running. So it's 3000 records, right? It's take less than 1 minute to create the vector database here. As it's running, just will wait for another 30 seconds, so the process will be completed. So all these steps, the last two steps which I'm doing, the current cell and the loader section cell, which we see that it is to create the knowledge base. So here knowledge base data will be provided from the master CSV master file, which we see in the list of existing supplier list. So which we have stored into the JSON format, like in the dictionary format, each and every row. Then we are storing into the vector database. As you see, you can see the vector database has been stored here in the vector store. So if you want, we can see in the vector databases as well here. So here I'm not storing here. If you wanted to store this vector database in your locally as well, where you can use the persistent. So persist is the one of the input variable where you can store the in locally. So you can see the persist directory, right? This is the variable which you wanted to pass. If you want to use in another notebook, the new notebook, then you need to store this vector database with the help of persist directory. So where you can provide this information, like if you want, we can give that as well, like, and I'll show you persist directory chroma db entity. Okay, let's store once again. So you can see as soon as I given the persist directory, where it is created the directory and it is storing the data, all the data into the local vector database. So first it convert to the numerical values, then numerical values it will be stored into the SQLite database. So inbuilt, it will have a SQLite database where it will be utilized to store the information. And the Chroma and Physis will be the open source here, where you for your experiment you can use Chroma and Physis, and where you can implement the RAG applications for in terms of POCs to you wanted to show it for your business stakeholders and everything. So another 20 seconds. Let's finish here. Yeah, data is stored, which you can see entire all the data as stored in here in the index form. Now you wanted to see the results, like in this is where the retriever. So now you wanted to load the results from the vector database. That's the concept we call as a retriever. So in the RAG, the retriever augmented generator, right, where we use a retriever. Now the knowledge base which is created, now we are trying to retrieve and we'll to see the data. So for that, so where we am using the db chroma, which is already stored in my variable. So here input string, where you can utilize the the here instead of what is the supplier name, so you can give some company name here. uh, yeah, let's take Altricia. Okay, some company. Okay, so this is how you can give. Okay, so where I'm trying to take the C as retriever. So this is the retriever mechanism where you're trying to retrieve the particular the data from the knowledge base. So here there will be the multiple retrievers like where you can use the cosine similarity, BM25 retriever, and the hybrid search retriever, and similarity search with score. There will be the multiple retrievers you will be have for the part of implementation. This here we are using the similarity search where you can see here as soon as you keep the cursor where you can see this, so where it will do the similarity and mmr and similarity score threshold and all the various retriever it will be provided here. So let's run this information. Yeah, here you can see the, so here you see the top 10 results which is coming from the master data. So in the for the name of the input string, for the name of the input supplier name, where you can see this. So the first top two which is almost like it is completely similar, the first two, and the other two which is basically from the US, that's why where they're partially it is matched, but the first two companies where you can see which is clearly matching, so that's where the retriever will help. Now if there is any slightly with change in the supplier name, it's a very difficult to take the decision from the retriever, right? So that's why what we do, we'll send this retriever results with the input supplier name to the generator, where we will take the one final decision, one unique the matching supplier name. Okay, so that's we use the generator. So as we seen here clearly, the one company name which we have passed here, where we have get the 10 results. So like, and if you change the number of results to the 4, see you will get the only the 4 number of chunks. So this is where the context we can call as well. So you can define the number of k results based on your, the requirements. It's all about here where we have to, provided by experimenting, we have to decide this k value either by 5 or either by the 10 and everything. Okay, so I'm just keeping for 10 just to see top 10 results. Let's go back. Now once we get the data, so just to implement in a single document, then I'll show you in the for implementing for all the documents. Okay, this is, I just defined the empty list in order to see here. So I'll explain you the code step by step, nothing to worry. So here we are trying to do the pre-processing step from the, from the semantic retriever results, because this context which is having the document and metadata follow with the various page content, right? So we are trying to take the supplier name and supplier city and supplier country here. So for that, where we are trying to do the pre-processing steps here, let's run this. Oh, okay, the dict and everything we need to define here. Okay, it's done. So now let's see. Yeah, here you can see the top 10 results which is came. So the first step of here, what I did from this data, I've created the empty list with the which I want the unique results as well. Then follow with that what I'm doing. So the retriever is the list of results here. If you see here, the retriever, the top 10 will be in the form of the list. So for each and every value, so list contain the multiple values. So each value I'm iterating through the for loop as a doc. Then I'm passing to the doc as a page content. So doc as a page content, you can see here, so which will be having the supplier name, supplier city, and supplier country as well. So this is the metadex. As you can see, this is a one of the key in this dictionary as a page content. So I'm splitting the key and value with the help of the doc.page content. Then from there, I'm splitting into the supplier name and follow with the city and country. Okay, so all the details which the post pre-processing from the retriever results, which I'm uh, creating the structured information which I can forward it to the generator, where generator can able to understand the actual content of the ground truth data, which will help us to validate. Okay, so it is done. So let's pass to the LLMs here. Okay, so these two steps also, which I will explain you in detail. So before that, we need the build prompt. Yes. So the build prompt is nothing but the generator here. You can see that. So generator is nothing but, so now I have a 10 top 10 results out of top 10 results, which I wanted to decide the only one results from the top 10, which is the best answers which I can pick, best matching supplier name which I need to pick. That's where we are sending the retrieval results through the generator. That's we call as a LLM. So here you can see my prompt, where you are like, and I'm saying as a instructor, you are an output evaluation instructor, you have to deep understanding of this task, and your primary objective is to compare the input entity, input supplier, against the predefined list of supplier names that is coming from the ground truth. That is, ground truth is nothing but the contextual information, the contextual retrieval results, which will be presented in the respected of country names and city names and address list. And for each input entity, it should identify the single closest entity in the ground truth. As I mentioned, I have a top 10 closest match, but out of top 10 I need to pick only the top one, which is the single top one which I need to pick. That's where we are taking the decision. And along with that, when you are telling that this is the most nearest supplier name, you have to provide me the confidence score as well. So this is where the prompt has been designed here as a generator. So generator is all, it's nothing but it is about the prompting, where it will be take the complete instructions of what input should be provided, and how the response of the output should be, we will expect. So every information which will be provided in the build prompt function only. So here you are going to use a chart prompt template, which is also part of the Azure Chart OpenAI, where we have initial cell which we have implemented, where it will be having the prompt text and input variables. So here if you see where I'm calling here, so where I have initialized the chain, that is LLM here, where you can see this LLM which we have initialized in the top one, where we are using the GPT-4 model here. So let's go here. So we have to invoke the LLM now. So in order to run this LLM, where we are using the chain.invoke, so which will having my input string as well. So input string is nothing but the supplier name which we given in the retriever side, like in order to find the the top 10 results, right? So the same input string which we are going to take here as well. So again, we are seeing, instead of sending the complete master list to the LLM, what we are trying to do, we are minimizing the number of data and we are sending to the LLM. So in order to take the proper decision, because see, it's sending of LLMs 3000 data, it is in a cost effective as well. Like it is all about the number of tokens, right? If we are processing the more number of tokens, then what will happen to be processing the time, and the cost is also very high. So that's why we are trying to reduce this number of tokens along with the top 10 right results only. So as of now, you are seeing the master data, which is a 3000 records. But what if case if we have a 3 million record, 3 million records which cannot be processed to the LLM directly, right? That's where the knowledge base will come up, where we'll get the only the top 10 most similar matching results. So the most similar matching results with the input query will be sent it to the LLMs here. So the input string here we already have defined here. Let me define here as well. Okay, so it is triggering the LLM. The LLM triggered. So you can see the results. Let me print. Yeah, here you can see the results. So one top supplier name here with the conference score, which is saying here. So this is the one top out of top 10 companies. So out of top 10 similar entities, which is find out this is the one most the company which is matching with the input information, which you can see the completely. If you want, you can remove this just, and even you can try, still it will give, but the confidence score will be little very like an, it is completely, it is not looking in the in terms of there. Let's slightly change some character as well. Now we'll see. Yeah, you can see that as soon as I change the character, where you can see the confidence score is dropped to 65. Okay, this is where it will try to identify. So out of 10 only, out of the context of 10, the companies, now as soon as I change the input string, the input company name, so the meaning of the complete word will be changed, right? The meaning of the complete entity will be changes here. So the my confidence score, which is giving only for the 65% now. Earlier it was giving 95 and 100, but as soon as I change the complete the character, the company name, it is dropped. Okay, so this is how you are going to implement the end-to-end RAG. So first what you do, the install step, where you are going to read the document, and then you are going to convert to the vector the LangChain document with the help of CSV loader, or like you can use the LangChain documenter after reading from the pandas file. So this is the ideal structure which you have to maintain in order to store into the vector database. So while you are storing the vector database, so everyone must have to remember, because many of the people think that, okay, hey, I have implemented, I have taken a bunch of documents, but still my response of the LLMs was very poor. Why the LLM will be providing the poor? Because of you are not giving the right context information. So when you wanted to make a right context information, you have to provide the metadata as in the right format way. So what could be the ideal metadata which you can provide it, which you need to decide. So the column names, or the description, or the row, or the file names, so which you have to provide it the metadata. So this metadata will help the retrieval to identify the what could be the ideal top closest matching informations. So that's where you can evaluate your the retrieval results as well. Even you can use a re-ranking method as well in order to see the your embedding quality as well. So whether your the retrieving embeddings are the updated embeddings or not. So what could be the next steps if I need to take, if there is a retriever embeddings which is not up to date as for the latest question, if I'm looking for the user questions and the retriever results. So all these are the kind of the necessary steps which we need to remember when we are working on the real-time industry. So this metadata will be the crucial. Even in your interviews also, they will ask you, so how will you create the retriever, how will you create the knowledge base? So this is where you are going to tell them. So where you are going to load the input file, and then you are going to convert to the LangChain documents. And while you're creating the LangChain document, where you are going to provide the metadata information, the where it will help the to retrieve the top 10 or top 5 results, retrieve the most similar results when we wanted to retrieve some information. So follow with this page content and everything information. And then after converting to the LangChain document as a standard input information, then you are going to use the Chroma vector database or Azure OpenSearch. These are the two lines which you are seeing. In terms of other data sources also, 3 to 4 lines, but not more than that. So simply you can store into the vector database. Okay, so those documents, the documents which you have converted into the LangChain document, and embedded the embedding model, because as you see in the documents where the human can readable, which is not converted clearly now. So when you execute this particular step, where it will convert the metadata information into the numerical information, and it will store into the vector database. If you wanted to reuse those vector database, where you have to use a persist directory. So persist directly will help you to store into the your vectors. Then later you can reload those vectors, and you can load your vector database and you can utilize. So once after you utilize, So this is where you are going to see the retriever results. So in terms of you to retrieve the results from the knowledge base, where you will be using the concepts called similarity search and similarity search with similarity search with score or MMR or BM25 retriever. There are multiple retrievers we have, so you can choose based on your the business use case, or like in terms of the particular use case, like in which will be the ideal retriever tool. So you can utilize the retriever tool and you can utilize this information. So and even number of chunks which you want to retrieve, like that is k equal to top k equal to 5 required, or top 10 similar documents you required. You just have to trial and error, and you need to see that, because if the LLM response is not as expected, then you are providing the very smaller context, then we cannot think of that LLM response will be the more accurate, right? So giving of some the good number of the context where LLM can decide the right information and it will give the right response to the users. So this is the LLM. So the retriever results, and the retriever results where you can post pre-post with the help of like utility functions. So as per your requirement, and then you can send the these particular post processed retriever results as a context to the LLM, where you have to design your prompt template. It's like what was the ideal inputs which you required, what was the ideal output which you are expecting, and everything. Then so if your prompt is not clear, then the LLM, the final response will also will not be accurate. So you should be very careful, like while designing the prompt. Okay, what could be the ideal information which I need to be passed, like in a also, do I need to pass some few short example, like in a by taking of the decision where I need to implement the chain of thought, the as a React style format, where it has to think as a step by step, and before it is providing to the final response, where it should revalidate all the necessary steps, and it should be provided the information which should be taken up here, everything. Yeah, I see from the Nikhil, please explain about the ground truth data. So the ground truth data is it's a similar like can I just consider. So the ground truth data, we have the existing supplier names, means who are the existing partners for our company. So now the risk team, what they did, they have identified certain partners. So they wanted to validate from our whether they are belongs to our the existing partners or not. Okay, they wanted to verify. So that's where here it is completely related to the entity mapping, entity matching, which I can say that organization to organization name we are trying to map. Like Accenture, we are trying to map whether it is an Accenture is a partner of our company or not. Like, and if it is a partner of our company, so which is belongs to the US or India or like in a European region, because these companies are registered with across the global, but when they are like in a from USA company, like in a from the US region, they wanted to go with the only the US region. Even the companies located into the multiple industry, multiple geographical locations, but they wanted to stick with the one specific location in the US side. So Accenture US will be the registered, but Accenture India is not registered to their the partner list. This is what they wanted to identify. It is all about the entity mapping. So this is the overall process. Let's I will run for all the code together. So let's make the process to be more simpler. Let's see overall data. So that is where so I just wanted to show you the individual record. Now I'm going to run for all the entire input data. So one second, you can see the total 48 record and master database and everything. So and I'm going to show you the BM25 retriever, like an hybrid ensemble based retriever as well. So let me complete this process so that I can show you. So this whole code will be clumsy, so just I wanted to show you the major part how we do. That's why I've just splitted for the single row, and which where I've shown you creating the knowledge base and taking of one input record, and to see the end-to-end process of like in a from the retrieving the results from the vector database, and the vector database results along with the input query which we have sent it to the generator as the prompt template, and where we have seen the top one results. Okay, now we are running for all the results which you can see now. So this is for the single retriever. Now I'm going to show you the ensemble retriever, that is we call as a hybrid retriever. So what if case like in a I'm not feeling that like in this particular retriever which is working as expectedly. So I wanted to take up the multiple retriever option. This is where the concept called ensemble retriever. So if we see about the ensemble retriever, so where you are going to use the BM25 retriever, and in ensemble retriever where we are going to combine the general vector retriever, that is we use a semantic similarity search, right? The first, the one which I showed you, similarity search, and the BM25 retriever. So these are the two different concepts which I can say that. So two different algorithms which I am implementing in the concept of ensemble retriever. I am giving the same weightage. So the top 5 records which I wanted to fetch from the BM25 and vector retriever, similarity retriever. Okay. So let's see why I'm showing you the difference for that. So this all the results which you see where it is triggered the retriever and it is triggered the generator in the single retriever. Okay, you can see the approach as a single vector where you can see the list of companies which is matched, the supplier name and supplier city and supplier country, along with the confidence score also which I'm taking off. And you can see the confidence score also which is uh, which is changing here, because if it is thinking, because you can see the best example here. Here LLC is missing here. So due to that, like in a, so it is considered that like in a some confidence score which I can, which is providing the very less, instead of giving of a 95 or more than 95, which you can see 91. Let's see with the hybrid where you are using the hybrid and the vector. Almost we have came up for the end date for this project. Like just I wanted to run for all the samples with the hybrid search and vector, single vector search. Yeah, it is came the results you can see here as well. So if you see here with the single retriever for the same results, we got 91 the confidence score. But when we are running with the hybrid retriever, you can see that the confidence score is completely down. This is the difference between the using the single retriever going with the multiple retriever. So where you can see the more confident results. In terms of if we can experiment with the some other part as well in the basic analysis, you can see that. So the confidence score of the vector is 95 and hybrid will be the 94 here, you can see that. Okay, so this is how we implement the rack. So I've taken for the one business use case where you wanted to, where you have a similar set of document and where you wanted to retrieve the results and you wanted to see. So this is how we apply in terms of the QA or in kind of any kind of platform. So if you have any questions, uh, please message in the chat room so that I can try to help you before I jump into the new project. So it is an in context learning which is we are going to do next thing, that is for the banking industry. Anyone have any questions?
No, we are not done with the class. The people are dropping up. No, we have a second project. Sir will explain a little fast. Yes, any questions, please raise your hand. I can unmute. How did you
So
run ground truth data against the retriever?
so ground truth data, what I did like an, so as part of the knowledge base, like in what we do, we have to load the input files as you see here. One second, let me show you. So these are the only 3 steps. Okay, so you have the Excel file, right? The master CSV where I use the, so this is the input file which you can see here. Instead of pandas where I've used the CSV loader with the LangChain framework. So I have loaded the package, and this is of the data which will come. So enter the dictionary format of the data which I have stored into the vector database as a part of knowledge base. Only 2 lines of code here. So we have to convert to the numerical vectors, right? It is a basically semantic similarity search which is happening. Similarity we are trying to do. So consider semantic similarity means, like, if you have a good and better, good and better is the best example you can see. In terms of when we see the programmatically good and better, two different words, but meaning the meaningfully these both words are the similar only, right? It will comes in the positive itself. Why do we need to install for LangChain framework? So for implementing the GenAI based application like in a rack, we have to use the LangChain framework for utilizing the LLM models and everything. What is the difference between hybrid retriever and single retriever? Can you repeat? Yeah. So in single retriever, in terms of single retriever, what it do, it will go with the only one retriever, like in a, so you're trying to do with the only one algorithm. Okay. So the algorithms have their own concept, right? While to identify the top 10 results or identifying the top 10 similarity sentences here. So when I'm going with the hybrid, what it do, it will find out with the different mechanism, because semantic similarity searches, which in the backend it is works on the cosine similarity approach. In the BM25 retriever, which will works on the word based search appearance, it will go with that. Means it is like in a search based appearance, it is like in a completely cosine similarity. So the getting of the retrieving the information will be the different from the model to model. So here I'm using the two different models, so that the retrieving results will be the accurate results which I can get. Okay. So I think, yeah, we can go for the next project. Let me go through this. Please, sorry. Yeah. So this current project, which is for basically extracting the entity fields from the provided check here. So as you see here, there are multiple checks. Like, this is also the real checks, which you can see where you will be having a completely image based the check where you cannot copy the information from this document. So in generally, when you wanted to extract the key fields, like who is the payee and payer name, and what was the amount, what is the check date, and what was the check amount, and the what was the the signature of the authorized person of the check and everything, right? So these are the fields which we wanted to extract. So I will show you few of the checks as well, which will help you to understand more better way. So this is the one of the check, one of the bank, which you can say that. Okay. So it's not only one check we are doing, it is for all the checks, like any kind of any check format which you are seeing that. Okay. So we can see one more check as well. So you can see that. So our solution, like what we are trying to do from the from by using the GenAI concepts, like by using the context learning mechanism, means here we are not storing any vector database. We are processing each and every check, and we are extracting the various fields, like where we have a set of defined fields, like in a pay name, pay amount, and check number, check amount, the check date, and follow with the payee and pay the address of the check and everything. All the details will be presented. Only the 6 to 8 fields we are trying to focus on the check, for the check to check. Okay. So here, why we are not storing the knowledge base, means each and every check will be the unique information. So where we want, which is not required to store the information, right? We are not working for one check system, we are working for multiple different checks. That's why we are not storing here any the vector database. So that's why the concepts we call as a in context learning. So in context learning means we are directly processing the information to the LLMs here. So let's jump into here. Okay. So our main goal is to convert the check PDF or images into the structured information, and which has to be validate JSON fields here. So for that, what we are doing, so we are using the same, the Tesseract and the LLMs here.
Yeah, Venkatesh,
So
sir, can you charge your laptop?
yeah, I'm sorry,
Yeah, I
just
think it's charged, right? It
yeah.
may disconnect.
Yeah, hi, I'm back, like with the charge. I'm sorry for that. So just to jump into that, so our major goal is to uh, convert the checks into the text information, and we have to focus on the specific field in the provided check. Okay, by using the GenAI technology here. So I'll just walk you through the functional level, because as it is already 1.5 hours. I like in a so we just wanted to go with that. So I'll explain you each and every line here. So this particular function, what it try to do, so which will try to help us to remove the punctuations in the provided the check or provided text information here. And this particular functions, what it do, first it will try to load the input image or PDF document. So where it will, if it is in a PDF document, where it will convert it to the each page as image, and it will try to extract the information if it is a readable information. If it is not, if it is not an not readable document, then this function will won't support. What it do, it will go with the Tesseract service. This is where the Tesseract service, you can see that. So as a Tesseract, what it do, it is in a kind of optical character recognition system, where you can train your own Tesseract with the help of PyTesseract and Paddle OCR. These are the open source models where you can directly utilize, and you can get the text information, text from the provided image based document. Or if you wanted to use the cloud based services from the Amazon side, where you have the Amazon Tesseract services, where you can directly upload the input document, and it will extract the text for you. If you're working for the Azure cloud services, you have the future called Azure Doc Intelligence Service. So Doc Intelligence Services also, which will extract the text for the provided images or provided PDF document, which is a non-readable document. So what it do, it will convert the into the input and bytes output information, like it's generated into the numerical bytes as the bytes, and where it will store, where it will send it to the Tesseract services. So Tesseract, where we have configured to the Amazon services here, where you can see here. So Amazon Tesseract services here, the Boto 3 package. And these are the kind of the post pre-processing which we do once we extract the data from the Tesseract services, like in a, what is the page number, what was the text, and what is the left side, the particular text which is presented in the which position, it is the left side or top or width, height, and all the informations will be fetched from the particular the uh, 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 the Tesseract services. So let's run this information. Let's see. Okay, so here, as I mentioned, have defined the set of fields which I have wanted to extract from the provided checks. Okay, these are the common fields across for the various check templates, like in a payer name, payee name, and check number, date, and amount in numeric and amount in words as well, along with the account number and the memo and the signature name and the route, account candidate and the sequential candidate as well. Might be these three are optional, we can keep, but the fields are very important for every check system. So even we see that, right, many of the banking system where you can drop the checks, so how it will extract the information, this is where this technology will be utilizing in the check processing, where it will read the entire the check information, the check template, and it will extract these particular fields, and it will try to look onto the your specific account number, account details, and if the funds are available, and then it will transfer to the respected the bank account. So that's where the process will be entire the automated. So now we are replicating with the LLMs. So here you can see the prompt template where you can see identifying this information and everything. So let's run and see. So here I'm passing my check, the check 6 image, which you can see here. So this is a check, okay, where you can see that the amount will be the 4263.50, and the check date will be 4/30/2024. Let's validate this data. Yeah, you can see here the check date. It's an April 30, 2024, which you can see clearly. The month, date, and follow with the year, and the check number as well, 14868. You can see the check number in the top, and along with the conference score also you can see that the 95 or 1 or it is in a 0, complete information which you can see that. The signature name as well you can see here, and follow with this like the pay name and payer name and everything. If you want, we can process the other check as well. We can see quickly. Now we are processing with the check one. So this is completely different template. If you can see, it is a PNC bank. Yeah, you can see the details. So the check date and the check amount is also 400, 4,000, 40,000. You can see, and the $40,000 in the words as well, where you can written clearly and pay to the order William. You can see the pay name as well, and the payer name as well. We can see clearly. So this is how you can implement, the with the using the GenAI technology, using the LangChain framework. So it's it's just like in a you know utilizing your services like in a invoke and just passing the entire text and everything. I just wanted to show you one more from the data as well, the tesseract information. See here you can see that this is the complete the information which is extracted from the OCR. Okay, so that particular OCR information where we are processing to the LLMs and to get the final response, like what could be the ideal from this text, what we can be consider here. Let me give here. Where is that? Yeah, you can see the text here. So from the tesseract what will happen, so it will extract the complete the text from the provided image or provided document. Then that particular entire full text we are processing to the LLM as a context or as a input information you can consider. Then we are setting of the specific fields from the prompt, and those fields we are extracting. So this is where, so we are not storing the vector database here because each and every check template will be the different, and each inside the check template the each and every user will be the different. Okay, so this is about today's the projects. Like please let me know if you have any questions so that I can help you on that. Yeah, you can raise your hands if you have anyone questions. Like, and I can.
Yeah, so I'm going to allow Vijay now. Vijay, can you unmute? Vijay, are you there? Okay, let me allow Srinivas garu. Srinivas Yaram Chetty. Can you proceed your question? Srinivas Yaram. Yeah.
Hey, Venkatesh. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
very good info. Yeah, it's a very good information. Yeah. So that I have a basic question. So suppose the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we supply a, I mean, when we give the input one of that, either the Excel file or any format of the
CSV
file,
file or
so
yeah,
that yeah, we are loading into that, the, I mean,
LangChain
vector data.
document as a LangChain
Yeah,
document.
LangChain document, translate to LangChain document and storing the vector database, and then you're pulling the, I mean, giving the context information, and then we are getting the
Final
retrieval
response.
information, whatever we require. So that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the same things, I mean, it could be a smart, some other, without AI also we can do, right? So we can upload the document to that, either that, either the structured data or the non-structured data into the DB, and then from the DB, yeah, we can retrieve, right? So that
Yeah,
what
we can here
what
instead
are
of like
benefits will achieve?
so benefits in terms of benefits like if it is a numerical values, so we can, as you mentioned, we can go with the traditional based databases. So as we are trying to search for the names here, the kind of the company name. See, the company names might be the type error will be happens. The different the namings will be available. So here we have wanted to try. Even if there's a slight change name is available, we wanted to fetch the results. So if you go with the traditional based approach, what will happen? It won't find those because it will try to match the exact word, right? Exact
Exact name
sentence
search,
strength.
correct.
Exactly. So that will
Mhm.
fail in that cases. So that's where if you're going with the semantic similarity approach, where you will able to get the some amount of some sufficient the details. So that is a benefit for the with the without the traditional and going with the semantic similarity of the databases.
No, we have that, we have the Elastic database search,
Mm-hmm.
we are using it, like the Google
Yes.
search engine, right? So
Mm,
similar
true.
search we are using it. We don't use the exact search. We have the, we have the, we have partial search. So the
Yeah,
word
yeah,
matches in between or starting or
true.
ending. So that
In
take little longer.
Elasticsearch, what will happen, Srinivas? So I'll tell you one example. So when you have more number of documents, see if the search load will be having a more than like an 100K documents, so it will slow down the process in the Elasticsearch. Where you go with the fuzzy wuzzy logic instead of like going with the exact word in where you are going to define the fuzzy wuzzy, where it will try to read with the splitting the sentence into the word levels, and then it will try to map those words, and then it will give you the some certain level of content score. So where we are going to define in the Elasticsearch. Hello.
Yeah, you are true. It's taking little longer. So we are trying to update it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because see,
So
I have worked for an Intel, so where we have used in 2018 and 19 Elasticsearch itself to retrieve the similar kind of like some test case components and everything. So as what I observed, if it is our Elasticsearch will have a capability of like in some 15,000 or like in some 30,000 records, where it will able to retrieve the in a very quicker, very faster. But as soon as when we are trying to load more number of the data, so it's starting slow response. That is the one the drawback from the Elasticsearch. But even we can doing the parallel approaching, distribution based approach, where we can minimize this the issues.
thank you, Venkatesh. And then the follow-up question on that, to build that workspace. So suppose we, what, in the Java, right? We have the any, I mean, we use the Maven approach, to install the required packages. If you go any
Mhm.
UI, we have the package JSON, right? So here, right? So what are the, suppose LangChain and all those the Azure things, right? What are the required packages to install it? So can you have any document? Can you please?
Yeah, sure.
help
So
on that?
for implementing these RAG-based applications, so one is the LangChain is the first framework, like in the package, and for input the document to load, the pandas will be used, and the regular expressions, and for vector database, if you are using with the
ఏమన్నా మాస్టర్
sorry,
అన్ని ఫీల్ చేయాలనా ఎందుకు
Vijay, can
అనలేదు
you mute for yeah, so thanks. So let it, or only 4 to 5 packages. I will share those packages to my team, and I will ask them to share to you, Sinvas, like LangChain, Pandas, regular expression, and only those 3 packages is very important. So from the LangChain itself, you are going to call with a different, like to implementing the embedding models, or like in Azure Chart OpenAI functionalities and everything.
Okay. Thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you.
Thanks, Sinvas.
Yeah, so let me ask Vijay to unmute. Vijay, are you there?
హలో
Yeah, Vijay, please
Vijay.
hey
proceed.
hey
Yeah.
hey yeah hey so yeah I think the earlier question answered some of my
Vijay, your voice is not clear actually. Maybe.
oh, okay hold on let me fix it. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, so the earlier Q&A answered my questions as well. Like I was thinking like similar sort of things can be done with other technologies. So what is that like, we are doing here as part of this AI and all. So this looks like it's another way of doing the things or the efficient way of doing the things. Looks like there may be certain limitations in the current way of doing, and then this is overcoming those. Right. I don't see anything else. It's the same like I load the package, load the data, process the data. And, in any technology that I have worked in the past is the same fashion. So I was just curious, like, what's this really the data science or AI and how this is going to fit into the whole bill, but it looks like the same. I mean,
Yeah.
so the other way of doing the things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Vijay, to tell you this, like in as just now when we are talking to the Srinivas, where they have the similar mechanism to retrieve the some set of the results in their document. Okay, so they were using the traditional approaches like in a using the elastic search mechanism and to retrieve the results. Okay, but in terms of doing with the in terms of doing with the AI by using the semantic similarity, so which will makes the it should be more faster to retrieve the results and with the accurate results, like even with the elastic search you are going to get the like in top 10 or top 15, but then how will you decide which is the top one, which is the more closest the value which I can consider? So this is where the judgment which is required, right, where we will send
I'm,
the
I mean,
file.
yeah, I don't want to get into debate this thing, but then, on top of the results, being a programmer, hardcore programmer, I can write something, I think, which is nothing but the LLM is doing to
Mhm.
refine the results to meet the, that thing. But I was very curious how the AI is related to here. This can be a data analyst, right? This can be this is exactly a data analyst work I am thinking. So I'm trying to correlate why the data scientist and how the AI vocabulary or the terminology is suitable here.
So see, this is about just one use case which I have taken here.
Uh-huh.
It's
I
not
see.
for like just to show them in the boot camp, like in a so taking of some smaller the use case approach how we can implement with the GenAI. So if you're looking at if you're thinking about into the more GenAI prospective way, where we'll be having unstructured informations, which is even with the programmatically sometimes we may not captured with the traditional approaches, right? So that's where we can go with the GenAI based application, GenAI based approaches, AI based approaches, where we can capture even for the more unstructured information as well. Like if we talk about the healthcare industry, majority of the data, the clinical reports, which will be written in the manually by the healthcare professionals. So it's a very difficulty to extract the information from the what is the drug name and
Right,
what
right.
is drug dosage details. This is
Mm-hmm.
something which I'm going to show you in the upcoming session in the Saturday.
Okay, okay. So this is just like a maybe like the more use cases I start hearing or watching, then probably I'm gonna get more clarity. But
True.
again, see, I did work on the NLP, so natural language processing. That so totally makes sense to the name and what that feature is offering and what the use case have done. So I wanted to see the use case. If in the next class or in wherever you can,
Yes, next class
where the
we are going
intelligence
to
is coming up. No, I'm more interested in just like trying to understand what the artificial that we are bringing here into the work that we are doing or the thing that we are learning. This may be apart from what you guys are trying to do, but being a technology person, I'm just curious. Like a dentist, the name itself very clearly says he deals with the dental, right? The dental is a physical. I can see, I can touch, and then I can tell. Likewise, right? A cardiologist is, that's a name given to the heart. So anything deals with the heart is a cardiologist, like that. So this is like AI, is it just a name given to
Yeah. So in
that,
terms
then
of
just using the libraries and all?
yeah, in terms of Vijay, if I tell you in the business scope of the current the activity which we have performed as well. See, just imagine where you have the set of dashboard where you have to identify, even if they're some of the suppliers or like in a which they are we wanted to understand whether the supplier is like in a is like in a, which we wanted to go with the next 5 years of the term or not. Okay, because every year or every 2 years they will be renewal their partners, right? Whether they wanted to keep or whether they wanted to remove. So based on their supply and based on their the cost effective and based on their positive side of their the kind of their the organization level, which everything they will consider, and they will be either they will be deciding the company whether they wanted to keep as a partner or they wanted to like keep a for some certain period time to keep an idle for them. So in order to create this as well, like even with the general the programming style we make can be run it, but sometimes which we wanted to do the more like in the semantic way, which is we wanted to understand, even it's in a typo error, even with the some of the different the naming conventions which they are representing with their organization name into the different location. Even we wanted to capture those kind of the other meaning of the words, so it can be easy in the semantic similarity. So that's where we are trying to see. But it can be helpful in terms of AI as well, where it can track and where it can highlight, where it can create the flag system. So these are the high risk customers where you wanted to be review the potential risk customers. These are the safe customer, which will design everything together. So the part of this exercise, just we are creating some small part of like an activity, but we can add some match flags and the criteria flag with the high, medium, low, where the team of subject matter experts where they can review this potential customers and they can take the decisions accordingly.
Hmm. So if you have any video out there in YouTube or anywhere, like, like I wanted to understand like this dental dentist, and then he does the teeth work like that. AI, like this is what he does, and this is why it is called as a AI. If you have something like a, pretty complex use case or something which really makes sense, like generative AI, generative response, I would say, I don't know why they started calling AI. I see the generative response is what makes sense. Because in the search, when you search, you get the response. Here it's like a generative and then more narrative response. But I'm still not able to digest like why it is called even a generative AI, where the AI is coming into the picture. It's just remembering the past sequence of the things and then response and all. Uh, See, I'm still not able to digest that AI part. Generative response is okay,
Yeah, I
tokens, I
think
understand those
we have a
libraries
couple
are
of
different.
important videos, Vijay. I will try to forward to you. Okay.
I'll
Okay.
tell you, maybe might you are seeing my screen, right? Why in
Yeah,
terms
yeah,
of
I'm saying.
AI we are calling. See, here I have not written any program. I'm just telling that you have to. I am given set of these particular dentist names and have this particular dentist name. So I wanted to map. So this particular dentist name, which is mapping. So this particular dentist in it is for which of the dentist the name which is mapping. Here I'm just returning as a simple statement as in a human.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
So this is the input to the that function or whatever is the prompt.
Exactly.
I see. It's
Yeah.
taking the prompt and it's working. So I didn't catch your name, sir, but I can even argue that's a library is doing all this work. So in the library, that's a complex programming. So how it is different than writing me a custom function saying that, okay, if condition, else condition, matching condition, regular expression, whatnot, right? So so
Mm-hmm.
this may be a next level of just we have C plus plus, right? Like that. This may be a library plus plus. So function plus plus.
Mm-hmm.
So again, like why I'm laughing is that where is the intelligence part? That's what I'm trying to
That's
understand.
exactly, Vijay. I wanted to tell you, we are not writing of any if else condition or something. We are just simply writing that this is what I
No, no,
required.
no. What
So
I agree,
providing
sir. But this text is going as an input to some function. I didn't follow the entire thing, but the prompt is going as an input, and that whatever is that the function or method or the library or something that is
Mhm.
processing. That processing is nothing but written by, as you said, someone in the Google or Amazon or sitting like whoever is writing like or in the AI. They are written like a so complex algorithm like in user like you and me we may write like a 10 if conditions and we can with
Mhm.
our processors capacity and all those things we can process, but let's
Mhm.
say if I write a billion if conditions then whatever you're saying like I can also achieve. So where is the intelligence? I'm trying to understand the intelligence,
Uh,
right? Like
the
one
intelligence.
example. Anyway,
Mhm.
this is a long discussion. I want to cut it short.
Okay,
This is
okay,
not
fine.
we are intended to do
Yeah, I
today.
think yeah, definitely we will help you, Vijay. I can conduct a separate 30-minute session with you. Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
we have
But this is
specific videos
interesting,
as
very
well.
interesting.
We'll try to
You know,
forward to you.
Yeah, no, no, no. I totally agree. This is just like we are, what do you call that? Sampling. We're sampling a product. So I can't just
Correct.
get the product just by sampling or get the whole taste, right? So I will keep attending few more sessions and also I will touch base with you, sir. Thank you very much, guys.
Sure, no problem. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Someone, Razi, you can proceed. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so most of my questions were answered, and like I was just trying to comprehend the questions that were asked in last two questions. So about the Elasticsearch and all, like the project that was shared right now by Venkatesh, like the AI part. If someone were to do all these things, the programmer has to be really, thoughtful about various scenarios of dumping so much of data into some data store and writing a custom code on top of it to retrieve those millions of data customers data, right? So first of all is the challenge with the storage of millions of data and then retrieving those and we have to write that boilerplate plate code to come up with the right kind of comprehensible data to the user. That's where all this LLMs come into play, where LLMs launched on the cloud is already available as a service. All we have to, the business or enterprise has to focus on is to write their logic and not worry about how the data will be retrieved. So my question, based on when you were presenting, sir, was do we have to remember all those packages and the steps, or is there kind of like a cheat sheet that we can, that is just one way of, like if we want to retrieve, go by this different way of retrieval, like hybrid or a single retrieval procedure that we can follow and come up with our logic all the way from having a source document, taking it into the vector database, and then retrieving it and embedding it, and then finally generating it. So is there like a set procedure or a standard that we have to follow, or how do we remember all these different packages and libraries?
So, Raju, so first of all, no need to worry about like here we have just very less number of packages, only 4 to 5 packages we need to be remembered. So the LangChain is the one, the library which will cover up 90% of your the activities for any kind of use case. Okay, for in terms of the retriever, in terms of the vector database, in terms of connecting to the service as a llms. Okay, it will do all the process. Even for it will help you to load the some certain document, the processings as well, like in a as a PDF document, PDF documents or CSV or Excel files as well. So one such package which will sufficient for you to implement step-by-step process. And along with that, like in a when we like in working with the real time the scenarios, so where you see the documents will be, it's not a structurally organized, where you have to do some certain pre-processing. See, for example, I'll tell you. So you have a certain PDF document, and the document contain the images, tables, and the text information. Now as part of my the knowledge base, where I required only the text information, which I won't require to store the images as well. So so what we do here, so where we try to retrieve the only text information, and that particular text will be stored into the vector database. So to do this particular specific activity, where we will have to depend on the some other other steps, whether you're using the regular expression or kind of some the pre-processing utilities, pre-processing functions, like in doing of some if else conditions, or doing of some pattern mechanism, and which you can able to get it. So it's all about like in 4 to 5 packages which hardly you use.
Mhm. And
And all the
basic.
steps will be the same. All the steps, implementation steps will be the same. You can cheat sheet something like in the, so which you can use and you can replicate those only. Just by you have to change those parameters based on your responses, like temperature or top P, top K results. These are the hyper parameters in the LLM response. If the response is not accurate, you need to change accordingly these values to get the consistent results.
So basically, like whatever steps you wrote, we can expose all that, package it into one service, and expose it as a REST service for any applications to use. Is that right?
Yes, Rajiv. Because see, as a in terms of like as a boot camp, or someone is a new the new persons, where we wanted to go line by line, step by step, what is happening, right? If I directly show them as in a package, then they won't be understand. So that's why I'm just like in him. So in an industry level, what we do, we expose as a package, as in terms of like in a poetry or something, where we can run with a single line of step, or like by creating the REST API service, where you can upload some necessary document, and you can do that. Even intelligent way, what we do, so we create some change tracking column, or where we wanted to have a up to date of our knowledge base as well. Like as of now, like for the we have taken for the last 4 years of data, and we have created in the knowledge base. What if case if we wanted to update our knowledge base for the last 6 months records as well? So this is where we identify and we upload those specific documents, right? So these are the kind of various intelligent activities also we can perform. So by just running of one job scheduler, and where it can do that, or by setting up the job scheduler for every 12 hours interval, where it will run, where it will fetch, and where it will update the knowledge base up to date.
Mhm.
Bharati, can we go next?
Hi, can you listen me?
Yes,
Yeah.
Bharat.
Okay, thank you. First of all, the sessions are really helpful. But my question is, uh, let's consider. I mean, right now we took an Excel as an example, but for our conversation, let's consider a Confluence page as our input document, and say
Okay.
that's not a static, but it's a dynamic.
Mhm.
So in that case, how do we actually keep on updating the vector database? Is it through the pipeline, or is it through a cron job or schedule jobs? Uh, or how do we keep that, or is that a possible case?
Yes, Bharati. So what we do, so before we are updating to the vector database, first we need to identify that. Okay, so which are the Confluence pages are newly added, or the existing pages which is are updated. So what we do, we will have some traditional database, some SQL, or like an Azure Data Lake service. So where we will store all the necessary information with the timestamps and everything. Okay, with the Confluence URL page, URL links as well. So what we do, so we will have some specific script. First it will try to read like as a template, which I can tell you, these are the steps, these are the components of the particular pipeline system. As soon as this pipeline trigger, first it will uh, trigger to the traditional database component, and it will try to see the, so there where we will be defined some set of columns, where which of the columns, like where we see the, so the last 12 hours. So what are the newly pages added or which are modified? So through there, first we'll filter those specific documents, and we will fetch those information with the pre-processing component utilities, and then those the results which will be updated to the knowledge base. So this is how we can make the up to date our knowledge base with the either Confluence page, either with the SharePoints, or either with the some other platform, other databases as well. We can do.
So the go ahead.
No, then yeah.
So it would be like on change. As soon as there is a change on the Confluence page, we can just trigger that pipeline and get that updated to the
No, Bharati. So you see, every time triggering, as soon as if we run for every 3 minutes interval, it is an streaming based approach. We can say that if you are working for the millions of data like in a social media pages or something, then you can able to do. But in terms of an organizational point of view, like in every 6 hours or 12 hours of the scheduler will be sufficient, because it won't be the much change, right? Like if you run for every 6 hours also, whatever the last changes is happened, which you can capture and you can update. Running for every 3 minutes or like in a 5 minutes interval, which won't be required, but it is all about the depends upon the requirement and which we need to see. But ideally we can go with the 24 hours or 12 hours or 6 hours time interval. It will be sufficient.
Got it, got it. And one more question is like, are you going to store this? I mean, your code get reports to us, or is it like
No,
only the
we will
utility?
say, you can please reach out to the Indraj or like a Kodandara, so they will help you in this code, the perspective.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah.
Chandra, can you proceed?
Yeah, thank you, Kodanda. Yeah, thank you, Venkatesh, for the detailed explanation. I have a very quick, simple question.
Yeah.
So the vector database that we are using, right, is always an empty, right? For each organization, you will start with an empty, and then you use the embedder as an algorithm to really embed the data that we're actually feeding into it, right? Is that how I understood correct?
Exactly. So because consider, so each and every the input document which has have to be the numerical, then only it can able to we can able to search and we can retrieve the similar information, right? So that's where we are converting to the numerical values.
Correct. So basically, in the first project when we loaded the master data into, and we sent two parameters. Right? One is the
Embedder
embedder,
document.
which is basically an algorithm, right? It's not a pre-trained
Right. It
data.
is an
It's
algorithm.
something.
It is a pre-trained algorithm which is in the Azure services platform.
Correct. Okay. So and then we are telling, hey, in this document, just these are the key elements that I want you to embed, and then it creates that vector data. Then it's then once we sent the input text, then it figure out, okay, based on this, it'll take the embed value of this company name, and then try to find the match that actually closely matches with the database, the vector database. That's it.
Exactly. See, this vector database will help you to store. At the same time, it will help you to retrieve the information as well in a semantic similarity manner.
Correct. Yeah. Basically, the essentially kind of using some kind of PCA value component analysis to save the values, right? The vector values.
Kind of. Yeah, the PCA or that kind of. But PCA, it's in a very low dimensions. But in terms of these embedders, which is having a very high dimensional the representation, that's where it will capture this meaning into them in a more deeper way.
Yep, makes sense. Okay, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Indra.
Sanjita, can you proceed?
Hey. Venkat, first, thank you for your time and patience.
Yeah, thanks, Sanjita.
Go ahead, I'll go next. Just I wanted to ask, from so many questions and answer I got, it is another level of coding where we are using AI. And end of this, I think if we join the course and we finish the course, what should be our designation now? How I am applying like a migration consultant since I have done bots and all those. So after this 3 months of course, how we should apply? Is it another higher version of general code like Java or whatever the things? So somewhere I'm stuck in between.
Okay. Yeah, Sanjita, I'll have to clarify, like in terms of like in job roles or like in a, see the many people are they are still in the confused like in a, so everyone is in a software developer. Okay, so here in
Yes.
terms of the programming language which you choose for your career, it will decide, right? So if you're like in
Yeah.
the software developer, but you are developing for some websites where you can go, where we can choose with the PHP or Java front end, and where you wanted to develop some the other end level application, web applications or mobile applications, where we can go with the Java programming language. Now in
Hmm.
terms of AI, okay, it is also similar like what you do, but these these applications will be more intelligent level. So consider here itself, like in a the general the car itself, like in a for the washing machine, you can consider if a simple task, it is developed in the C programming language, but like in a
Hmm.
you have to design, you have to define that each and every step of the stage, like in a you have to put based on this class you have to put this amount of the water, this amount of the time to required to soak and everything. But what you do, you are collecting this data and you are telling this, okay, when to stop, when to on this particular washing machine. Okay, so these are the kind
Hmm.
of analytical terms which are going to work and which are you're going to develop actually. What could be the decision make things you can going to consider. So this AI, it's like going to help you for the AI developer or machine learning engineer or NLP engineer or GenAI based engineer, or like these are the roles you will be eligible, Sanjita. So and
So
it is like
after the yeah, please, Venkat.
yeah, you no need to worry about that, like so I have earlier I worked for this specific programming language, whether I will be capable to learn for this AI. It's absolutely easy for you, because here entire the developmental which will goes on the Python. So instead of writing 5 to 10 lines of the programming language, where you can write the similar steps with the 2 to 3 lines of code. So where you can spend some time to learn the Python programming, which is easy only as you the way you do for the other programming language, every data types and everything will be the similar, but only the implementation of the steps will be the different. So initially first 2 to 3 days you might be feel difficulty, but from fourth day it will be easy, because I've trained many of the students like who are from the Java, who are from the like in a RPA team, where they are doing the UI path and the Blue Prism tools, and with the C programming languages or PHP. It's like everything will be, it's like in difficult, but after 3 to 4 days, if you have a right mentor with the right approach, you can able to do, Sanjita.
But now we don't have experience. After this course, we have uh, experience in the sense in training, whatever we have the experience. So while applying for the job,
Mhm.
uh, I I am thinking
No, no,
how
nothing to
Let
worry.
the
me, Venkatesh, let me answer the question. So, Sanjita, I mean, it all depends on how you practice and how you explore, right? So you don't need to go for a job. So the knowledge, whatever you gain here, it can be applied at your current, Java or .NET, whatever it is, technology, right? So the training what we teach, it helps a lot for you to upgrade your current role, or if you want to convert fully, that's a different story. You need to work from scratch to till end. You need to practice multiple projects. So that is how it works. But to answer your question, I think we may need more time. You can
yeah,
just send me a message, WhatsApp message to my number.
sure.
I'm happy to spend some time this Monday to Friday. Okay.
Yeah, and request you in the next class, please, little bit more what are the things we are going to learn? Just 10-15 minutes. Till now, we already started the code, but what are the further things once we all have coding knowledge, little or more? So if we can, you can explain next class what are the things we are going to learn in this,
I
uh,
think
like
definitely.
further,
Okay,
it
Venkatesh
will
sir,
be
next.
more clear.
Yeah, yeah. Venkatesh sir, next class maybe you can just like go over like what we are going to teach for the next 8 sessions. Okay,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
And
will.
how we should apply when we end up when we finish the course, because everyone doing this course for job purpose or
Yeah, yeah.
definitely job purpose. So how
I
it will
I
help,
think
let's
we
finish
will
little bit on
will
that.
Yeah, sure. We will make you happy. Don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, team.
we used to spend 100 plus hours for every batch. So last batch, everybody felt happy. Yeah, Srini, please proceed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so Venkatesh, it's a very nice session overall, and I believe you must be using your own AWS credentials to run your program. At least if we have access to the code that you ran, at least we understand. At least some of us has a past experience with pandas and all Python language. We can easily understand the steps involved in it. But I have a couple more questions in the prompt. You hard coded the prompt. Maybe in the real time example, let me give an example where in a bank, I have a Bank of America. One of the things is Erica is a bot where your chatbot, it remembers your context, right? So I have asked what is my current checking account balance, and then I next time I don't need to say checking account, say give me past 5 transactions. So for that, is a cache or something involved? How it remembers the context when we are building a real-time application?
So here, so exactly, it's a nice question. So you see, many of the people, like, and this is where the context is very required for them. So there is a concept called persist memory. So they like in the LangChain, it's in a very short term. Like in a, we can say up to last 5 sessions only we can able to remember if we try to utilize the persist concept. So when we go with the Lang graph, where you can able to store the longer sessions, like longer user query, this is the another approach. And one more approach what we do, so each and every question, like whenever you open your chatbot system, there will be the session id or thread id in the top of the url which we see, right? So but with that particular thread id, whenever the user enter the question into the particular Erica bot, so the user question and the response will be stored into the backend as a MongoDB or some specific database. So the next question when the user request, so along with that user question and the past histories, like in the 10 or 15 will be the entire the history number of questions will be number of historical questions will be defined, which will be processed to the next the response also for the LLMs as well. So with this, what we can do, we can capture the complete what could be the last 10 questions user asked, based on that the overall context which can be provided by the bot system.
Okay, so you're saying that we can still with a LangChain, or we can still achieve.
Not with the LangChain. Yeah, we have the concept called cache mechanism. So you can implement the cache approach in the LangChain itself. For LangGraph, we have the cache approach, and along with the buffer memory, we have the concepts in the LangGraph. Okay, so with the buffer memory, where you can store the last 5 questions or 10 questions up to, like if you wanted to have a more than 10 questions or more than 15 questions, what you do in the industrial perspective, I will tell you, Srini. So I have created a one the chatbot system for the semiconductor industry. So whenever users ask some questions, say this particular component I have tested with this energy, with this voltage, so what could be the ideal voltages we need to be processed? So along with that, what will be the previous question what it did? See, I am working on this particular component, like an audio component, I will tell. So we have to remember for the particular the user question, the current question, the user is testing with some specific voltage, but in the previous of the question where user provided that he is working for the specific component name. So all these questions, like in the previous questions and the LLM response, will be sent to the current question to the with the current question. So that's where we can capture the entire context.
It kind of appends all those questions
Yes,
together.
yes. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So another thing, so the prompting, right? So the end users who are using a bank customer, in my case, a chatbot, they may not be technically understand. They might enter natural language there. So
Yes.
this prompting, the natural language versus converting that to a prompt, is there anything involved, or just directly whatever you enter directly go into the prompt?
No, Srini. See here, user query. See, because when we develop some, the chatbot for the specific, the domain specific only, right? So we know that what could be the ideal questions we expect from the users. So now, based on that, we will design the prompts for the different categories as for the saving, as for the current account, as for the some other general queries, as for the loan department. Okay.
Predefined.
Yes. So in the predefined, like in what we do, all these prompts will be stored into the some secured platform where we use in the LangFuse. When you get some time, please find out the LangFuse. Okay. So I'm just typing here LangFuse. Okay. So this particular platform where all the prompts will be stored. So the one which I stored you in the code level, right? So that is not the ideal way where we'll store the prompts here. The writing the prompts and everything, all the prompts will be written and all the prompts will be stored into the LangFuse platform.
Okay.
So where we have the SDK based approach where we connect to the particular SDK and we will take the latest version of the prompt and we'll send it to the as a part of the LLM service to invoke.
Okay, if any question that is not part of this predefined prompts.
Yeah, here we will define clearly what we do in the prompt. So like, let me show you the prompt, how it will be there. Maybe you will get some certain idea.
Sure.
So if there is any information which is not presented, what we do, we'll ask them to, written as unknown or the information is not found. Please look for the some other different question as a follow-up question, which we can provide it to the user.
Oh, okay. They will present
Yes.
a default options to them. So choose one of these.
Exactly, as a follow-up questions or something, so that it will be more useful for the user, right? So where they can understand.
Yeah. So it seems these sessions are very helpful, and I'm looking forward for the future sessions. And do you mind providing a document which says, okay, these are all the different options available in AWS, Google, and Azure. Mostly these are the major vendors. And what other, like if I have AWS credentials or AWS account, do I need to also have a third-party licenses? For example, if you are using OCR, which is like kind of an open source one you might have used, the proprietary ones, each one requires a separate cost, or the AWS has a service to include those other dependencies?
Yeah, so it's nice question, Srini, because see many of the people they wanted to aware about that the costing of the LLMs and these tools as well. So which service will be the ideally, because in terms of, I'll tell you one the scenario. When I was working for some healthcare documents, there will be having a checkboxes, right? So this checkbox is like really difficult, like and very difficult to extract the information which checkbox which is the marked as a the checkbox like in a ticked. So we wanted to see. So with the Amazon Tesseract service, we are unable to identify. Then we went up with the some R&D, and then we have identified with the Azure Doc Intelligence service, where it is providing the some the for the checkbox field the solution as well. It's all about experiment itself, like in a based on your data, then to decide like in a so which service which we need to be used, like in a accuracy drops, then we go back and we'll debug, we'll try to identify where it is like in a causing the issue. So basis on that need to be taken of the solution. So and I just pasted the prompting how it will be there, like an instruction persona, what to include, what to not include in the prompt, like in a designing the prompt template is also very like in a the key essential for a developer, because they need to know like in a if I give this prompt information, because the prompt in the instruction itself, it will take the complete thing, right? What output to give, what output not to respond, and everything. So we define like maybe I'll set up some session for that, and I will give you the prompt bloating technique and prompting techniques and everything.
Yeah. Also, could you please share a couple of real world examples? The one that I just shared, like Bank of America, Erica is one of the chatbot built using these Gen AI technologies. Similarly, real world
We have a few use cases. We'll share with you, Srini. Okay.
Next upcoming session, you are going to see the
I think you can join the upcoming sessions. You will see some more examples as well.
Yeah. These are all completely real-time examples. Maybe many of the people are working for, like, as I also am working for different industry, right? So I'm just looking at the, in a broader way, what could be the ideal use cases we can consider, and which can be presented here. So the next project will be the claim approval, which is for the insurance, the industry, like in how automatically, like an auto decided will be happen, the agent to be taken the decision whether the what could be the claim amount can be approved, instead of like in reviewing the manual where we see the majority of the customer service people, they go step by step the process claiming and everything, they will approve the certain amount, right? So how we could be replicate with the agentic based. So this is something which we are going to show in the real
Today's
time.
that you have explained, are they fall under agentic or
No,
I know
it's not agentic AI. It's a semi-agentic AI. It's not agentic AI. It's not fully agentic AI.
Okay. Yeah.
Deepak, can you proceed?
Yeah. Thanks, Kondalra. And hey, Venkatesh, thank you. And this session is really, really helpful. And thanks for your patience too. So one quick question is, as you work with all of these, or what do you call, many other industries, right? So I'm from the healthcare. So usually the clients don't they hesitate to expose their proprietary information to all of it. And if you're talking about the LangChain, it is a kind of open source, right? So anyone can get it. So is there any alternative? But I'm just thinking about the Copilot, or is the Copilot the right version to match with the LangChain, or how do you even do it? In the sense, how do you implement it in their system?
Yeah.
Because
So
we don't have the access, right? Yeah, go ahead.
true. See, Deepak, like in the GitHub Copilot and the chat GPTs and everything which we are talking. So these are built on top of the LangChain framework only. Okay. So now, if we wanted to develop our custom the coding tool, like for within the organization, like we cannot use majority of the companies, they won't allow to use the GitHub Copilot or something. Instead of that, the companies, what they're doing, they are creating the similar kind of chatbot systems or the coding platform where their employees can they request the code, some certain steps of the code, where they can writing the test cases or writing the functionality of the things, where they are building their own code platforms or allowing them their the employees to utilize those services. So these to develop these services, okay, they have to stick with the LangChain or LangGraph frameworks only. So in the back end, they use the based on the services like in Azure or Gemini or like in Amazon Bedrock services. It's all about depends on that.
Got it.
Okay, LangChain is open. It's absolutely for everyone, every industry, even everyone they are using this framework. And because see, I cannot directly use the Gemini portal, but there is a something which I need a wrapper where I can, instead of writing 100 lines of code, where I need to write 2 lines of code. I am like a lazy person. So where we wanted to go with the minimal step, right? So this is where these wrappers are coming up in the market, and where it will be completely secured with the European levels, like an see some of the, I'll tell you one example as well in the healthcare itself, like if you're accessing for the European market, where you have strictly should be use the LangChain, which will support for the specific regions only. Even you are using the AWS Bedrock services, so there might be the cross region interface will be there. So it should be supported for the European region. You cannot use the US regions here. So this LangChain will be support for the cross region in the implementation as well.
Got it. Yeah, kind of makes sense. Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
Sampath?
Yeah, thanks, Venkatesh. Yeah, I don't want to take your time, but yeah, I'm looking forward for your sessions next week. Yeah, thanks, Kondalra.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Sampath, please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Venkatesh. This is really an informative sessions. Question I have is like currently, I'm actually from the QA automation background, and we have an existing automation frameworks which built on JavaScript, Test Cafe, Node.js, and we use the Bitbucket repo also, and we also use the GitHub Copilot. So the context what I have is the creation of a new automation scripts based on the Jira. So most of the tools, what it does is like it just generate the code, but it doesn't look at the existing framework, whether we have the script can be refactored, or like if the coverage exists, we just need to tweak the code, or like we don't need it all. Like so, with the human intelligence, we can do all the stuff. We can go back to the features and check, whether it's really needed, or whether we need to refactor the existing one. So how can we implement the RAG pipeline, or how we can do the RAG implementation for my context?
Yeah, yes, Sampath. So I'll tell you. So like in what we do here in terms of where you can build the set of code files as like I was working for some of the Gemini scripts which are completely written in the Python for or all the test cases. Like in each and every test case, we have a separate Python files. Now if I go back in a later, if I wanted to see that what could be the ideal the test case which is written, what will be the ideal code piece for this particular test case. So what we do, entire this .py file or the r or in it kind of any extension, what we do, we can convert, we can do the chunking as simple similarly where we can read this all the programming files and we can store into the knowledge base in terms of splitting. But while you're creating the chunking, because see we have the limitation of the token, right? In a single in a single the code file, you can assume that there is 1,000 lines of the code you have, thousands lines of code you have. So but as a limitation we have the 8,000 words only. So then where for every 500 lines in a single file, it will be going to the multiple coding files, right? So when you're creating the multiple coding files, what you do, wherever it is break means in middle of the chunk it will be break, right? You have to add the packages, what could be the ideal Python packages you have to take in, and along with that you have to add as a metadata as a class name as well. So with that, what we'll do, you will be identify that what could be the ideal class name, what would be the ideal test case name, what would be the ideal predefined functions which can be utilized for the particular the programming files. So with this, you can able to capture. Yes, we can do Sampath. We are already have implemented for the Python programming language. We can do that.
Yeah, but since I know this is most talks about the Python, right? What we have here is the
Any
JavaScript or
programming
the test.
language, any language I'm saying. See, it's all about like their specific language only, right? So just while we are storing into the knowledge base, what we do, we have to create as a metadata what could be the ideal the extension of the script, and what could be the ideal the script it will perform like in the programming the title or something, the script name will be there, right? The script name, script location, and all the details will be provided here. uh, I will show you the next time how the programming chunk will be stored here.
Yeah, sure. And one another follow-up question I have is like, is the demos can be presented with a free or non-paid models like a Hugging Face or whatever, so that we can at least do some POCs from outside. Like if we wanted to present any solution to anybody within the organization, also no one gives us the accesses or the things what we needed, right? If we have free or non-paid models, so that we can implement the POCs before we go for a bigger approach, bigger
Okay.
implementation.
Sure. Definitely, we'll consider this the point. Sampath will try to do that. We'll come up with that. Okay, at least we'll provide some documentation or some the predefined, because as this boot camp where we wanted to show more about the cloud computings and the cloud services, the current systems. But definitely we'll consider and we'll provide you the details as well. We'll retain some
Yeah,
scripts and we'll give you additional.
yeah, yeah, that would be great. At least mention the alternate services that we can use are non-paid models, so we can make a note of it. But this is really great, actually, with no background of AI, and we have some context or some knowledge of it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Thanks.
Samrat. Next is J.N. Gary. Can you
Hi,
proceed,
Jen.
please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having this presentation. It's been very helpful. I just have a very good question in regards to if we are following the bootcamp actually workouts, right? All the presentation here. Are we going to be able to have a portfolio when we're done with the bootcamp? Are you guys putting up together like how AI it looks like into the architectural diagram for an organization? so we can present it to upper management to see the future roadmap. Is that something you guys are working on it for the bootcamp classes?
Yeah, in terms of architecture levels, also we are designing, Juan. So one such example, I'll share my screen for to you to show you. So when we are presenting the projects and everything, we are showing the architecture. So how each component is connected to the another component, and so we have in detailed architecture levels as well. Definitely, like, and I'll bring off into the before we're starting to the project, so that many of the people audience will able to understand in the higher level as well. So definitely, this is the architecture levels we are defining, and each and every service names also we will define. So ideally, which service you have to choose and everything.
That is great. Oh my God. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks.
Yeah, we'll help you, Giangari. You just keep in touch with me. We'll help you. Okay.
Oh, absolutely. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to more. You guys
Sure.
are a blessing. So I'm learning so much as we go. So thank you
No
very much,
problem.
guys.
No
Appreciate that.
problem. Kishore, can you proceed? Kishore, if you are, yeah, please. Kishore, you can speak now. Okay, I think he is
Am I
not
audible?
sharing.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So, thank you for the session, Venkat. And I have one question related to the rack. So, when we are storing the embeddings, that is encoding, right? Encoding in high-level vectors and storing into the DB. So, what about the decoding format? So, before sending to the LLM, we are decoding all the vectors right back. So, who is taking care of that part? Is a vector DB is taking care of, or is it the framework is taking care of?
No, vector DB will take care, Kishore here. So what we do, we pass as a general, the human readable input itself. So
Yes.
that input will be converted to the embeddings, like part of the retrieving the results, the top 10 or top 5 results. So inbuilt, like within the inbuilt itself, it will do in the parallelly. So we like while we are retrieving the results as well, where we pass the embedder model. So what you do, it will convert this the input text to the embedding, and it will do the semantic similarity, where it will try to map with the numerical representation match, where it will go with the equivalent distance, like in a most similar matching numbers, and it will retrieve those results. Then it will be decode at the same moment with the embedder, and it will provide the results.
Got it. Yeah. Thank you.
In terms of traditional, where we have to use the what to vector and everything, where you have to encode, where you have to decode, but you no need to do that. Everything will be taken care in a single step.
With the embedding model, right?
Yes, so with the retriever and embedding, we are passing all together.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Raj can proceed.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for the great session. Thanks for sharing the knowledge. I really appreciate that. So my question is basically I'm coming from RPA background, using UiPath. So even I have done using OCR technologies. I've implemented Tesseract and everything. So my question is, how is that, like from RPA world, how is that OCR and Tesseract implementation different from what you discussed today? Like, is there any difference there, Venkatesh?
No, Raj, like in RPA is something where we do the steps in a automated, right? Automated versions, like even those steps will be conferred to the some of the components itself is part of connecting to the OCR or something. But here, like the OCR, why have taken off the component here, because our input data, which is in the image based format. So as part of like we can go with our custom OCR model with the PyTesseract or Paddle OCR, or doing with some CNN based model, where you can develop and where you can reuse those model to convert to the numeric in the text feature to extract the readable text information. So here, because now we wanted to see here, we required more number of data in order to train the models. So that's why what we do, we will go with the already the models which is giving the higher accuracy, like going with the Amazon or going with the Azure or going with some paid services, so we can directly implement and we can utilize.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
even LLMs, we can pass some images as well, but that particular LLM has to be support vision-based features.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, and also I understand people have been asking, like Vijay asked about how do we know the intelligence piece of AI, and some other people were asking real world examples. I know you guys, your hands are tied and you can only show so much of real world examples, right? But showing the PNC bank example check processing itself, it's like a great thing. I know there are complaints, things, everything tied. But in order to learn, I know you're just scratching the surface and showing us what AI can do, what its capabilities are. In order to really deep dive and for us to know the examples, I know we have to reach out to our employer to know the real use case examples and implement what you have just shown or what you have trained us. But I really appreciate that. I know you guys can only show so much, in terms of use cases. I know in future, good use cases are going to come up, but I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Raz. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. Dinesh, please proceed.
Yeah, hi. First of all, thanks Venkatesh sir and Kodandrao sir for hosting this. So my question here is, how can we handle the inconsistency with this LLM? So I will explain my test case in a few words. So I'm currently validating a particular UA versus DB validation. So how can we work on this inconsistency with this LLM?
Yeah. So for inconsistency, there are two, the approaches. One is like in a looking at your LLM parameters, the defining the temperature value, if it is in a zero point 0.6 or zero point 0.7 for an approach, if you have kept it like in a where we have to be bring down to the zero, that is the one approach. And another approach is like in a providing the few short example and giving of like in a chain of thoughts as a template mechanism to take off like in a, when you're like in a providing the final solution, where you should have to think before giving up like in step by step. You should be follow these are the particular contextual and particular step by step informations with a few short example. So then only the information should be written. If not, it should be provided as a unknown or unavailable. So by
But
doing
yeah, that is true. But at the same time, I want to add something. But I don't want to hard code any values. So for example, let's take any e-commerce website or something like that. Or you can take any mobile telecom bill
no,
application.
Dinesh, these are not hard coded. These
Okay.
are kind of instruction which are predefined parameters in the model, like in how to activate, like in how to think our AI agent. So we are telling of these values and which can be dynamically, which we can control with the by defining with this the Azure like an or like an secret manager services in the Amazon or like in with the Azure like in a services credentials, where you can change those values and those dynamically it will be fetch up information. And even you can define these parameters in the LangFuse as a platform, where you can test with the multiple values, and when you see the consistent information, where you can stop those parameters and you can utilize into the production environment. And
Okay.
this is like in the model parameters I'm talking about. It's not like what you should be stick to the kind of final response.
Right. Right. Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Finish.
Next, yeah. Can you go K somebody that not complete name or Manos? You can proceed. Yeah, you can proceed, K, because
Thanks,
yeah.
thanks. Yeah. First of all, thanks for everyone who set up these meetings. It's really helpful. Get initiative. So my question of I have a couple of questions. The first question is I know in one of the example first project, Venkatesh sir, what you showed, you used the Chroma DB. I know there was some other DBs as well. I'm just wondering why we went with the Chroma DB instead of other DBs, and what is the benefits of Chroma DB. because of it's a free version which we can use, or because of some data processing?
Manoj, here there are multiple databases are available in the market. In terms of when we are in the learning stage or when we are developing in the proof of concept to show to our management or business stakeholders. So ideally, going with the Chroma and Physis will be the better approach. And when to use our Chroma or Physis, I'll tell you. When you have some small set of documents, like 100 of documents or thousands of documents, going with the Chroma will be the best approach. When you have any millions of documents, like an even your management is not giving off like an Azure OpenSearch or like in a Pinecone or Milvet's data vector databases, any other thing, then going with the Physis will be the ideal approach where it will retrieve the more faster results. So that is the only the difference for the exploring and to implementing and to show them this is something we can achieve.
Got it. Thanks. And one more, like, and in the same first project, like you are I think in one of the question also you answered, like for organization or maybe if you use social media, like we can trigger for either 6 hours or 12 hours to get the data and to store in the database, right? And I believe before we are storing, we are doing the embedding, and embedding is kind of as part of the our ETL purpose, where ETL process where you do the cleanup and we will do
Yes, all
find
this
format,
process will be
right?
in the pipeline setup. So this pipeline will contain the it will identifying the latest records, and it will identify the data cleaning part for those records, and then it will convert to the embedding, and it will store into it will update to the knowledge base. It is completely set of pipeline only, where it
Okay.
will run for all the steps, which will be pre-configured.
Okay, and it's coming from the our existing library, right?
Existing library only, which
Okay.
we hosted in the service, right? Service platform,
Mm.
where it will trigger, and instead of running manually, where it is running through the service, like the automating the running system. That's all.
And are we going to configure them manually? Like if we need to add some bias, or if we need to find out the proper, like correct data, this correct data, this incorrect data. So these kind of scenarios, are we going to configure them when we are doing
Yeah,
it initially?
something, but in the vector database, I don't see such kind of where we can see the bias and variance. It's actually, but only we can see after, like, because this is about the knowledge, right? See, whatever the document which is presented in that particular source, so maybe we can set up some limitation, like in which categories of the document which need to be find out, and those categories only which need to be which to be loaded in the knowledge base. But in terms of that documents, whether it is a valid or invalid document, only we can see once we evaluated with the LLM response. When we see that LLM response is not as expected, because whenever we get the response, we give the user to give the thumbs up or thumbs down as a feedback as well. So with this feedback, where we will find out those particular the source document, and we will fine tune whether we have to keep or whether we have to remove from the database, whether those are relevant or irrelevant. Then only we can identify.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks.
Kishore or someone, okay, can you unmute yourself? I'm trying to unmute you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hello, actually, these files I saw this one IPYNP it is saved. Actually, generally Python files it should be
No,
dot.
it's an extension. Nothing to worry. It's you can do with the .py and everything. It's the notebook extension. That's all. It's
Okay.
Python program only we can use for showing these boot camps, and for the learning stage, like to explain. So it is easy to run the line step by step, and where you can show them, where you can debug also when you are working in developmental side, instead of writing complete functions, where you can write line by line and where you can run.
Yeah, I think we are almost done. I think there are one more Arvind, but he's not unmuted.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Arvind.
Yeah, thank you so much. Really wonderful session, sir. Thank you so much, Venkatesh and team. My question is, if let's say we have a Linux admin who does the patching and other work, right? Can we do that? Can we deploy the same LangChain components and an agent to perform an upgrade to perform the patching And if yes, do we have some? Will that be covered in the upcoming session? Please let us know.
In terms of like, I just wanted to understand, like in
Yeah,
terms
let's
of
say
where you
if
wanted to put
Microsoft,
in the
yeah,
Linux machine or something.
Linux or Windows, right? Patching
Yeah,
Microsoft release patches.
exactly. So this where we use the Docker and the Kubernetes services, right? The Terraform services, where it will be helpful for both Windows and Linux. But mostly we will work with the Linux machines only. Many of the deployment will go with the Linux machine. Even for the Windows also, you can use the Docker and where you can deploy, where you can trigger your service.
But my question is more on the agentic usage. And if let's say, if I have a agent which will download the package from Microsoft, download it from RHEL, deploy it on all our machines, do the reboot after the patching, and another agent to validate this post patching, and holistically is.
I got it. Yeah, with the agentic AI, we can do by connecting with the tool configuration, where you can download the patches and everything. Yeah, we can do with the agentic AI. So with the LangGraph, you can able to do with the service now and all the tools you can implement.
So you have some use cases during the course, or
Yes, we have in the MCP protocol, MCP, the concepts where where we will explain you this use case. So it is
perfect.
all about like an MCP, the concepts where you are going to connect with the multiple the third party services like in a with the calling of the concept call as a tool. So either for the Windows or Linux, or you're connecting for some other the complete different data sources. So it's we can do that. That is we are calling with the MCP.
Thank you so much. We'll wait for it. But wonderful
Yeah,
session, sir. Thank you
this
so
is
much.
the thank you, Arun. This is the last question, Venkatesh sir. Really appreciated. I know it's continuously you're speaking 3 hours. Srini, you can proceed. This is the last question.
Hey Venkatesh, thanks for the session. My only question is from an with the AI, right? Generally, the code that is generated nowadays, we are getting insights that to use the same code, but the system does not understand the complexity in it, right? What are the measures that we have to take when we get that kind of inputs?
So like yeah, exactly, like when we are using some the GitHub copilots also which won't understand this, like what we do. So when we are developing our the custom the coding tools or custom chatbots, like what we do. So each, and because even these the chatbots will understand for some certain token levels only. If the coding if the particular script is having like an n number of lines, it can only read the some certain level. So what we have to do, once we read the entire the coding part, we have to divide into the some certain the pieces of the code, and which should be processed to the LLM models, like in the AI the models, where it will understand entire the context and all together. And then where we can see that okay, what kind of the scenarios we are implemented in the existing script, and what user is expecting. When the
Right.
LLM models knows the entire the code script, then only it can able to suggest to us. This is what something is happening with the GitHub Copilot also. When I was try to use or something, so it will won't look for the previous functionalities, or it won't look that where you have to add the context as in by clicking of the file, and you have to add it, and then you have to tell that and everything. Yeah, this is something is there where we can do that. But reading of all together and splitting, then sending as a context together, and accordingly to map up with that, where we have the concept called React Agent. So React Agent will be helpful for your Srini to implement the solution.
No, but my broader question is, would you feed all the information that is sitting in your current environment into AI, then get the feedback, or would you try to get the feedback because there is already an existing LLM that is being used where it can create a generic, especially the coding aspects of it?
Just need to see it, Srini. I'll just check out and I'll come back with that.
Sure.
Because yeah.
And the other follow-up that I had, I know it has been a long session. Thanks for answering all the questions so patiently. But whatever we are trying to talk about is with a data point that we are saying that it can be 1,000 or 10,000 records, which is not a realistic scenario, right? But this just 2 points to add on it. One is, in a realistic scenario, these data points would be multilingual. When I say multilingual, it can vary from one account to another account or one customer to another customer, right? And the data, even though we are trying to, how far we can try to train the LLM, which is an open source. And second thing is, after we train the LLM, that would be an open source tool, right? How can we confine it not to get into these security measures? Because there are models that can be working on a generic model basis, right? But to work for a client, it's more on how do I confine the data to be sitting within the system? If you can talk through that, that would be.
Yeah, so one is what we can do. We can go with the Hugging Face and Olama is the open source models. What you do, so once you have to first we have to download the pre-trained models, which will be having the some set of the 1.25 GB or 2 GB or 3 GB. Okay, so once you download, what you do, so you are going to train up with your customized domain data. So that customized domain data will be have a certain format which the existing pre-trained model will be accepts. So this customized data will be talks about your business data only. It's not with the other world. It's only with your current world, with the current company only. So what you do, you are going to feed that with the LoRa or like in a concept of PEFT, where you are going to use the some set of parameters like in a weight query and the key parameter. So with the 3 to 4 weight parameters which are going to see and which are going to utilize, and you are going to train the model with your customized business data. And once you trained, you are going to store into the certain format of this data in the same the pre-trained model data, and it will be stored into your cloud storage. So from next time, whenever you wanted to load the data directly, you can point it to the specific location and you can load the data, which is not to outside the world. It is only within your organization only. So that's where you can completely, it is a securizable data, where you will be having a custom trained model and custom data and everything together, all together.
Right, but my see, this is transactional systems. When you have broader enterprise systems, right, there can be hundreds of systems with hundreds of data points. Now, to store that amount of data, it's a activity by itself, right? And to feed that information into specific data models that specific application would need, it's an activity by itself, right? There are some generic data points. Say, for example, I want to write a JavaScript class for whatever reason. It can have 1,000 lines of it. I can get a generic code, but how can I embed that into an existing system where it has thousands of JavaScript classes? That is where I'm trying to fit this into the current architecture. So if you can, maybe with your experience, if you have landed into some common denominator, what better works, that would be helpful.
Yeah, Srini, I'll tell you, like exactly like in terms of you have millions of scripts as well. So if you're company working for semiconductor industry or something, there might be in the Intel or something like in a Micron. So there will be from last 20 years, if you take each and every testing engineer, where they will be have some set of the rules where they have to execute the mandatory. and even in terms of
Correct.
every time which will be changes. Okay, so if you consider for the last 15 years itself, there might be the lakhs of scripts you will be available, right? Now
Correct.
whenever, so we need to identify that each and every script, how will we show them as a differentiate? Okay, this is where the concept, when we are storing into the embeddings in the knowledge base, so what we do, we will use as a metadata. So we will know that this particular script belongs to these particular components, and this component will be working on some, this test case description will be there. Okay, that file script description will be there, what we do actually. Even when we defining the classes or when we defining the functions, we clearly written in the doc string as well. So what this doc string will help us, so what this function actually works, what function this actually expects an input, what actually this function will return as an output as well. So considering this metadata where we can store into the knowledge base, so that where we can keep on update. So this is where even we have implemented for the semiconductor industry as well, where I was working for one of the giant semiconductor industry, where we are working of this approach, and it is giving expected results as a user acceptance test where with the Malaysian team and team where they are working actively to test of this the bot system as well.
Okay.
With the metadata and the doc string, the doc string is the ideal, the key point which you need to identify the right script to the developers for them to test it and utilize. Instead of writing from the again beginning, they can directly utilize and they can do that.
Okay. Yeah, that helps. I think, Venkat, I would need to talk to you maybe after this call, because maybe in the next sessions, you would be more, you would provide more insights on that, and I'll wait for those. But thanks for taking time and explaining all the questions that we had.
Thanks, Srini. Definitely, even I'll take out some common the business use cases, like many companies. Even I see that they wanted to integrate the conference pages and they want to integrate this coding scripts as a part of their analysis and everything. So definitely, I'll do some POC or some kind of the experiment where I can bring up the session in the some boot camp, like in the current boot camp, or like we'll have some separate boot camp for in a 1 day session where I'll try to show them like in all the insights of these use cases.
Yeah, my biggest challenge is, okay, you can get a generic code through ChatGPT or any
It's not generic
company's
code.
generative.
It's not generic code. It is the implemented where I implemented the real solutions, which those I wanted to bring up here. Like in implementing just like in a conference, which doesn't affect for the solution.
Correct.
Where we wanted to
Right.
show them how metadata has been fitted, because metadata is the key information for to retrieve the right information from the embedders. So that those insights I wanted to show them in the point of the book.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think
That would help.
we
Thank
will
you.
come up with a separate class on this.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you,
That would be
Venkateshwar.
helpful. Thank you.
Sure, Srini. Thank you for asking a valuable question. I know because you are the last person, and sir also explaining in from last few hours. But anyway, I think Venkatesh sir, really thank you, big thanks. Good participation today as well. Yeah, let's meet up next weekend, both Saturday and Sundays. Thank you all for today's attendance, both from India and USA. So thank you all. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Let's close
Thank
for
you.
today.